Abbot.
Listen to him. He knows everything.
Yeah, I think that needs re-editing, because the nice newsreader said something of the order of the Rolling Stones. They're terrific. They're trying something that they've never tried before, getting through a whole concert without the aid of a walking stick or whatever it is, I don't know. And then it went straight to somebody in the crowd and said, yeah, of course they are. Which, what does that mean? Of course they are what? Like old, past it? No, of course not. Hey, David Cameron gets about a bit. Where is he now?
He was walking about with some woman somewhere, wasn't he? With a what's it?
All the latest news, ladies and gentlemen. David Cameron was walking about somewhere with a woman.
Correct.
That's almost always going to be true. You heard it here first. David Cameron unleashed a blistering attack on Europe yesterday in an outburst that makes him sound like a toddler who's just been refused confectionery at the supermarket till. An outburst that took aim at France, Spain and the scandalous levels of EU waste. The EU! In an astonishing show of frustration, the Prime Minister attempted to win credit with Eurosceptic voters by claiming to have seen off a French-led ambush at 1 a.m. to chisel £1.5 billion from Britain's EU rebate. What? No! He said, in this town you have to be ready for an ambush at any time. I think he's overstating the situation just a tiny bit, just a smidge. In this town you have to be ready for an ambush at any minute, he said. And that means lock and load, and have one up the spout for when you're ready for it.
What?
Now, if I told you I've got one up the spout, Amanda...
I don't want to know about things like that.
If one of your lady friends had said in an unguarded moment over a bottle of Chardonnay...
You know me so well.
...that she's got one up the spout, what would you think that meant?
I'd probably want to know more.
You'd think that she was pregnant, right? Because that's what that means, isn't it?
One up the spout?
Yeah.
Like Incy Wincy Spider, he went up the water spout.
What's that got to do with it?
I don't know.
I think that David Cameron is confused. He says, in this town, you have to be ready for an ambush at any minute, and that means lock and load and have one up the spout for when you're ready for it. At what was expected to be a low-key summit, the Prime Minister also confronted Mariano Rajoy, Spain's Prime Minister, over allegations that Spanish officers fired rubber bullets at a jet skier in UK waters off Gibraltar. Rubber bullet, not 10cc, actual rubber bullets. Earlier he had ridiculed the European Parliament for producing a children's colouring book. Well, I've got detailed files about that. And on and on and on. The outburst in Brussels comes a week before the crucial Commons vote on an EU referendum that he plans to hold in 2017. No, he won't. Well, first of all, he's not going to be Prime Minister in 2017. Second, the Tory party aren't going to be in power in 2017. And third, no one's ever going to ask you whether you want to be in the EU or not, because they're worried that you might give them the wrong answer. What I'm going to do in 2017. It's like a teenager's wish book. You know the book that you wrote when you were a child? Things that I want to do when I grow up. Do you remember that, Amanda? Doing this show.
Still writing
Doing
it.
this show is probably right up on the top of it. Wow. An echoing silence. The Prime Minister's strategy on Europe was boosted at the summit by Ms. Merkel's suggestion that a new EU treaty may be needed to deal with the Eurozone's debt crisis. A new treaty would hand Mr. Cameron the chance to secure the new, looser relationship with Europe that he had promised to deliver. Blah, blah, blah. But this is the colouring book thing. Now, that story was on the front page of the Times today, and that's an indication of how fast the news agenda moves. I've got another gift. What?
From me.
Huh?
It was waiting for you at reception.
Oh. So it's not from you?
It's definitely not from me.
OK, well then things are certainly looking up. David Cameron declared war on the EU waste yesterday, beginning with a colouring book promoting wastefulness of Brussels politicians. Honestly, if you had to put together an organ that lampooned the EU, you couldn't have done better than what they actually came up with themselves. They're just trying to splain themselves. He held aloft a copy of a children's playbook, which tells how it takes 4 Eurocrats to send a letter. These people are idiots. They actually put that in a book. Here's how we work, they said. Saying that he initially thought it was a hoax. He attacked it at a packed press event as a scandalous waste of money and a symptom of why the public was losing confidence in the European Union. Well, now, hold on to that thought, scandalous waste of money, because there is worse to come. The 10-page book, Mr. and Mrs. MEP, sexist. Mr. and Mrs. MEP and their helpers, that's what it's called, is an apparently serious attempt to shed light on the lives of elected officials in Strasbourg, and 15,000 were printed. You know, because of all the people that go there for a little tourist visit. There isn't anyone who goes there. On page 1, the couple's workday begins at 8 a.m. as they arrive at the airport, briefcases in hand, to find their driver waiting for them in a limousine. I'm not making this up, that's a quote. Safely chauffeured to the office, Mr. MEP wants to send a letter to a colleague, but does not have an envelope. And the book explains in 4 European languages, with reading, games and colouring in exercises, how this problem is resolved, with the help of 3 people. He needs 3 people to find him an envelope. No wonder we ain't got no money. The assistant brings him an envelope. Mr. MEP puts the letter in the envelope and gives it to the messenger, and the messenger delivers it to the postman. The postman has to have it delivered to the postman. After a spot of lunch at a local restaurant, Mr. MEP gives a speech about the environment and has an usher help him to his seat. Mrs. MEP knocks off at work at 6 and goes to the shop to buy gifts for her family, while Mr. MEP labours on until 6:40, until a car arrives to ferry him to a hotel. I am stunned. So Mrs. MEP knocks off at 6. Mr. MEP continues working till 6:40. Sexism trainer to the Strasbourg office. The Prime Minister, who's in Brussels, took the book to an official dinner on Thursday night to show, I wonder if he was ushered to his seat. He showed fellow leaders how taxpayers' money is spent. Well, not much. Each of the Assembly's 745 MEPs get an annual staffing allowance of almost... Now, and if you don't know what this figure is, you might want to sit down and grip onto something firm. Every single one of the Assembly's 754 MEPs, even the ones that profess not to like the experiment, get an annual staffing allowance of £220,000. It costs us £160 million a year. And as Cameron brandished the colouring book at the official dinner on Thursday, Downing Street sources said that German Chancellor Angela Merkel was astounded by it. She was stunned. And she asked for a copy. Merkel told the journalists yesterday when she first thought it, she thought it must have been a satirical parody produced to send up MEPs. She said, I mean, it's not like we Germans don't have a sense of humour. A European Parliament spokesman said 15,000 of the books were produced for families visiting EU buildings on Europe Day, May the 9th, when they're open to the public. I bet they didn't get 1,500 people visiting them on Europe Day, May the 9th. A European Parliament spokeswoman said there are similar brochures for children at your Parliament in Westminster, as Mr. Cameron may be aware, and I'm sure they print far more than 15,000 of them. Well, let's hope not. Now, there's something very big coming back. Huge. Let the undercurrent of this programme be things that you would like to see return, things that, and it might not necessarily be a thing, it might be an activity, it might be something from your past, it might be something that you used to enjoy that you cannot enjoy anymore, for one reason or another. Things that you would like to see returned. 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3.
Flash Docky!
Great news. The Terminator franchise will be back in 2015 with the first instalment of the rebooted trilogy.
Affirmative.
Excellent. Paramount Pictures has confirmed the 5th Terminator film based on the original series, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, is due to be released in June 2015. Arnold Schwarzenegger told an audience in Australia earlier this month that he would be returning to his famous role.
Correct.
The former governor of California said, "I am very happy that the studios want me to be in Terminator 5 and to star as the Terminator, which will start shooting in January." He starred in the first 3 Terminator films released in 84, 91 and 2003, which grossed more than $1 billion at the global box office. And the future of the franchise seemed uncertain since the 2009 film Terminator Salvation, which starred Christian Bale and Sam Worthington, but was Schwarzenegger in it?
No.
Apart from a film that they had that they sort of inserted right at the end there. I thought it was good. A lot of people hated it. So with the summer release date set for June the 26th, the latest Terminator film will join a host of blockbusters due out at the same time, including Independence Day 2, Pirates of the Caribbean 5, and Star Wars 7. Do you think that Hollywood has run out of ideas?
Yes.
A little bit, yes. So that's something that I'll start queuing now. Excellent news. Something that I used to enjoy is coming back. Is there anything similar that you would like to see the return of? 0845 6060 973. You can text 84850, email nicka@lbc.co.uk, and if you're on Twitter, it's @lbc973. George Osborne was in the news, well, he was all over it this week, mostly because of what he eats. Has too much time passed to go over this? No, not really. Eric Pickles has poked fun at George Osborne's late-night gourmet burger by posting a picture of himself eating a salad while putting the finishing touches to a speech. He recreated the photo of the Chancellor posted on Twitter on Tuesday of him eating a burger and chips. From the upmarket burger chain Byron. Upmarket? Is that correct? Mr. Pickles, the community and local government minister, is pictured with a healthy salad in a plastic bowl saying, "Putting final touches to a local government association speech." Mr. Osborne had uploaded a picture of himself eating the takeaway at about 10 o'clock as he finished preparing his spending review speech, which saw £11.5 billion cut from government spending. His choice was criticised as being out of touch by some social media users. You know, if he'd been licking road clean with tongue, he'd have been called out of touch for having the luxury of tarmac. Mr. Osborne, he's a millionaire. He spent well, let's hope he spent the money, but you know what? We probably did. He defended his late-night meal of a gourmet burger. It was not really a gourmet burger, is it? I mean, isn't Byron very kind of... It's like saying Pizza Express is a gourmet pizza. Not really. He defended his late-night meal of a gourmet burger after insisting that the nearer McDonald's don't deliver. Well, it only costs £1. What'd you expect? Byron confirmed that it doesn't deliver either. Sharp intake of breath all round. A classic Byron 6-ounce hamburger with lettuce, tomato, red onion and mayonnaise costs £6.75, with fries an extra £2.95. If cheese is added, the price of the burger rises to £7.95. While Mr. Osborne enjoyed his gourmet burger, his Liberal Democrat deputy Danny Alexander, the Chief Secretary to the Treasury, ordered a pizza from Domino's. A luxury pizza from Domino's, eh? Toff. It was a medium cheese and tomato pizza at $11.99. Gordon Brown, when Chancellor, had different tastes from his Tory successor when it came... See, if this isn't an indication that it's not just a slow news week, it's a no news week. I mean, The Sun had on their front page, and the only reason they had it is because they thought up a decent a headline. And it was something about a man of the cloth had had a drink. And it was the Vicar of Tipsy, not the Vicar of Dibley, which is kind of weak, but I think they're undergoing a management transformation at the moment, so we'll let them off. But to put it on the front page, poor. With everything else that's going on in the world, weak. Anyway, back to this important issue. Gordon Brown, when Chancellor, had different tastes from his Tory successor when it came to late-night sustenance ahead of big occasions. This is from Damien McBride, his former spin doctor. He said Gordon Brown's standard finishing touches evening meal was killing a subordinate with a Vader death grip and sucking his innards out until the body was a husk. It wasn't. It was a Tesco's microwave lasagna and a Kit Kat. The Sun newspaper reported that Mr Osborne ordered the meal from a Byron branch in Waterloo, more than a mile away from Whitehall, with 10 McDonald's outlets where burgers start at 99p closer. The newspaper used the picture of Mr Osborne eating the burger under the headline, Sham Burger. See what I mean? It's a no news week. The burger chain announced that it would be cashing in on the furore by offering a cut-price Sham Burger and Lies combo at its Waterloo branch. Downing Street refused to be drawn on whether David Cameron, the Prime Minister, shared the Chancellor's taste for Byron burgers. Seriously, this is what journalism has come to. Calling up number 10 Downing Street and asking them if the PM likes Byron burgers. Asked about Mr Osborne's decision to post a picture of himself eating the burger online, the number 10 spokesman said, I think the Chancellor is relatively new to Twitter, yes. And you know what the most unbelievable thing about this whole story is? That Eric Pickles eats salads. No offence. Worse than that, though, much worse, is the other story about George Osborne, which typically almost everybody completely ignored or missed or overlooked because of that whole Burgergate issue. George Osborne has defended anyone's right to lobby for lighter regulation after the outgoing Governor of the Bank of England, Melvin, accused Downing Street of applying political pressure on behalf of the banks. This is the Chancellor of the Exchequer who is lobbying on behalf of the banks to himself. Speaking in the House of Commons, the Chancellor did not deny claims that he and Number 10 lobbied the Bank of England's Prudential Regulation Authority at the behest of the banks. Oh, Struth. You know what? All of those conspiracy theorists, those people that you thought were nuts, those people that sit in their underwear, clacking away on the computer all day, talking about alien spaceships and the Bilderbergers and all that, they're completely correct in every respect. Everything that they said is right. The banks have taken over. They're actually running the place. The allegations are made by Melvin, the outgoing Governor of the Bank of England, in his last appearance before MPs on the Treasury Select Committee. He suggested the watchdog had been put under political pressure by Downing Street to weaken requirements on the banks to hold a large amount of spare cash. Well, it's not like they need that, eh? I mean, it's not like they're too big to... Oh, yeah, that's right, they are. The banks argue that they would have been able to lend more and help kickstart the economy if they didn't have to keep such big reserves. They're only trying to help us. However, regulators imposed tough requirements on banks after the financial crisis to ensure that they would never again run short of cash and need to be bailed out by dopes like you and me.
Thank you!
Thank you, the regulators. Melvin, when asked whether politicians responded by putting pressure on supervisors, he said, I think conversations were had. And Andrew Tyree, the chairman of the Treasury Committee, immediately went to the House of Commons to ask Osborne whether he had taken part in such a lobbying operation. The affair ran all the way there. He said Melvin had indicated that an unacceptable pressure had been brought to bear on the Prudential Regulation Authority from within government at the behest of the banks, putting at risk the regulator's independence. I am actually quite stunned at this. Nobody else cares, because all anybody's thinking about in relation to George Osborne this week is what he eats for dinner. Mr Tyree said, will the Chancellor reassure the House that he knew nothing about this, that he was not personally involved, and that he will investigate the allegation that others did bring unacceptable pressure and report to Parliament? That is what he said. And George Osborne said...
Negative.
Essentially, he did. He said no. He said no. I'm not making that up. Osborne gave no such reassurances and defended the right of banks to make their case. He said, of course, banks, consumer groups, anyone else can make their case. And he's right. But it's usually them making their case to government not government making their case for them to the regulators like a bunch of lapdogs. And everybody completely ignored this. It's as though it didn't happen. No one cares. See, look at that switchboard. Not one single person has got anything to say about it. 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at lbc973. Is there anything that you would like to see the return of? Is there anything that you used to be able to do or get or see or whatever that you cannot do or get or see or whatever now? And on that subject, this one says, wish I could still drink a pint in a proper glass, i.e. with a handle. I also wish I could make eye contact and smile at a stranger in London without seeing them look panicked and reach for the mace spray. Never make contact with anybody in London. Eye contact or otherwise. I wish I could still drink a pint in a proper glass. Does it make me awfully effete to say that I never like pints in a proper glass? I always like pints in a straight glass. What does that say about my personality? Anything positive? This says, I want to see the return of sweet peanuts. What's a sweet peanut? In fact, bring back all the sweets you used to buy by the ounce, and let's have more pickles on the dinner table, says George. What's a sweet peanut? Is it just as it says? Never heard of them. So two suggestions have literally poured in. 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And you can tweet at LBC973. Have you seen the weather? I'll give you probably the worst weather forecast you're ever likely to hear, which fortunately does not pertain to us. Planes could be grounded in this place. It's going to be so hot. It's Arizona. But it's a dry heat. Arizona is about to see a record-breaking temperature, not just for Arizona, but for the world. Residents in the southwestern state have complained that the air is too hot to breathe. Can you imagine such a thing? Thermometers are creeping towards 57 degrees centigrade, which, if you do old money, is 134 Fahrenheit, the highest temperature ever recorded on Earth, without actually being on fire. A guy in Scottsdale, Arizona said, I'm fourth-generation native of Phoenix, so I expect it to be hot, but when it goes above 45 degrees centigrade, it hurts to breathe. The heat sucks the energy from your core. Well, it's not going to be quite that hot, but it is going to be pleasant. Full details on the way. 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3. It's 10:30. Five 6060 973. Here's calling Hackney. Hello, Nicola.
Hi, tell George not to worry and to come and visit me in Whitecross Street. I sell lovely sweet peanuts, and I'm from Sweet Education. I sell lovely little sweet peanuts. From
What's a sweet peanut?
He's like a little peanut shape, sort of toffee, but with peanuts inside it. And when you bite it, you see these little peanut brittle sort of things inside it. Absolutely amazing. And I sell a lot more retro and traditional sweets that are really great.
That sounds like an M&M.
No, they're almost like toffee with peanuts in them, I would sort of say. I was trying to get the ingredients up, actually, because I couldn't remember, to be quite honest with you. I don't sell that many, but I do sell them.
So what's the most popular sweet up your way?
I'd say my amazing rhubarb and custards. They are absolutely great. I get them from a lovely supplier up north, and they're just, whenever people have them, they keep coming back for more.
Now, is it one of these shops where everything is out?
Sorry,
where everything is out, as opposed to it's hermetically sealed in a plastic bag?
Sadly, I have to pack them at my house, but they're in little bags that I've weighed out, and I also do mixed bags. So you can have, at the moment, I do little summer mixed bags. I have strawberries and cream, rhubarb and custard, Sicilian lemons and limes, and also pineapple chunks. And then I also have them individually. I can't actually bring them out due to the fact that my van, which is the Piaggio Appy, they're tiny. It's just very difficult to also bring all of that sort of stuff out. But hey-ho, we try and give loads of variety to our clients.
And has business in the fake fruit line, Nicola?
Very difficult because the weather's really been awful for the last 7 months. I started since Halloween. And
so consumption of sweets is weather dependent.
I think it is.
Well,
yes.
why? I can understand ice cream being weather dependent, but sweets.
Well, you do have it. It's quite popular at Christmas time, obviously, in events.
Right.
But at the moment, when it's hot, they sell really well. When it's raining, people get upset, and because obviously I'm in a market area, people just walk very quickly past me. You can give me a wave sometimes and a smile. I'll be happy with that as well.
Have you got your patter down? Because selling in a market environment is all about shouting at people and attracting their attention and, gripping them with your enthusiasm.
I'm a lady. I don't shout. I wear amazing ties, but that's about it.
Right. OK. Thanks a lot, Nicola, our amazing tight-clad sweet monger. Cheers, Nicola. 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nika@lbc.co.uk. This one says, this message says, I wish I could still smoke in a pub or a club, says Gary. You know, Ian was talking about this just before the news, and I'm so glad you can't. It's still, I can't believe that it's just 6 years. It seems so much longer than that. But every time I go into one of these places, which is not often these days, just because of the price of a pint in a pub, 2 people have a pint each, that's a tenner. That's just incredible to me. And I'll never get used to that. £10 for 1 round of 2 drinks. I am stunned. But it never, it always feels, I'll go in and I think, there's something missing here. Oh yeah, that's right, I can see to the other side of the room. And my clothes don't feel like they're about to spontaneously explode with the smoke. No, I'm very much glad that you can't. This one says, I wish Matt... is it Groening or Graining? Graining. I wish Matt Groening would make another series of Futurama. It was almost as funny as The Simpsons. And that chick with the one eye, I think her name was Layla, was a total babe, says Lloyd. A one-eyed cartoon woman. That's what he's fantasising about, Amanda.
It takes all sorts.
I want you to trace that text. I never found it funny. Almost as funny as The Simpsons. You know what? Sometimes The Simpsons is hilarious, and then other times it's just not funny at all. Then I suppose if you've been on for, what is it now, 18, 20, 25 seasons, then you can't be hilarious all the time. But that film that they made, that was deeply unfunny. That was just shockingly badly awful. I can remember one joke in it that I thought was funny, and that was when they showed us Bart's Winky. Do you remember that? Huh?
That's right at the beginning in the credits as well.
Is it?
It's right at the
well,
beginning.
Well, it was all downhill from there.
It was, wasn't it?
And, you know, the interview that he gave at the time when it came out, he said, well, we've been making this film for a really long time, and we've been honing it to perfection, and if a joke didn't work... If the joke worked one time, then we told it again and again and again, and it had to still be funny the 100th time we told it. And I thought, aha, that's how to kill comedy right there, and that's what happened with that film. Here's a call in Swansea. Hello, Noah.
Hello, Nick.
Noah.
2 things I'd like to see the return of.
Yep.
I'd like to see a feature film remake of Star Trek Deep Space Nine with Samuel L. Jackson playing Captain Sisko.
Don't they make Star Trek movies all the time?
They do, but not the ones I like.
And what's unique about Star Trek? I can remember watching the original series, but nothing since then.
Oh, well, the reason I liked Deep Space Nine was because it was darker and more realistic. It was
realistic. Are you serious?
It didn't have as much of this utopian rubbish that the previous ones had.
Right. None of that hippie nonsense.
Yeah, none of that hippie nonsense.
Yeah. Well, it was made in a different era.
Yowza.
No, it was made in the 1990s.
Like I said, the original was made in the 60s, wasn't it? 60s, 70s, something like that. And the 1990s were a different period entirely.
Yeah, but those episodes and that series still stands up today. I really enjoyed some of the episodes, like In the Pale Moonlight, where Cisco tricks the Romulans into joining the Federation in a war against the Dominion.
Well, you're right, that does sound more realistic.
Yeah, and the other return I'd like to see former Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle return to WWE.
Who now?
Kurt Angle.
Who's that?
He won an Olympic gold in '96.
In?
Freestyle wrestling.
Wrestling?
Yes.
So,
I'd like to see...
So on your, do you have a personal television video recorder?
I just watch DVDs.
Right.
So I'd like to see him return because he's done all he can with the current company he's with, and he's sort of been misused over the past couple of years, whereas if he went back to WWE, he could wrestle guys like CM Punk and Daniel Bryan.
Okay. I'll make a note of that, Noah. Thanks very much, mate. 0845 6060 973. This is going great, isn't it, Amanda?
I turned my back for 10 minutes.
I hope that you
happened.
took down all of those details.
About the CC Bunky or whatever his name was, yeah. Yep.
You know, we're not going to get any calls until the Stones have finished at Glastonbury. You know that, don't you? And when are they're going to be off? Like 11 o'clock, something like that. So it's just going to be you and me until then. Well, it's almost 11 now. We're just going to be twiddling our fingers, looking at a dead board.
They have to be gone by 11 now because they can't last any longer than 11 o'clock.
The nurses rush on and help them back to their yurt. I bet Mick, Mick he famously tweeted a picture of himself standing by a yurt near Glastonbury. I'm sure it's not anywhere near where anybody else is staying. He'll probably have a field to himself.
I would have thought so.
But I don't think that Keith is going to. I mean, some of those Rolling Stones, they need constant medical attention. Some of them are actually hooked up to machines that go boop. They have to get choppered in and out. They can only be off the machine for a couple of hours at a time. 0845 6060 973. So here's the great news. A blast of hot air will finally see parts of Britain sweltering as summer at last gets into full swing towards the end of next week. It's going to be good tomorrow. It's going to get better as the week goes on. Except for one day. There will be a blip. Temperatures are likely to surge back above 70 degrees from midweek and could gradually climb to reach, are you ready? 86 Fahrenheit next week. There will be a distinct countrywide split, however, with the best of the weather in the south and cooler, more unsettled weather in the north. Ha ha! Well, you're used to it. I bet it's still raining in Glasgow. The Met Office predicts an improvement over this weekend when the mercury could hit 82 degrees in the south. And apart from a blip, which will be on Tuesday, there should be plenty of warm, dry weather on the way from Wednesday. How do they know that? Spokeswoman Lindsay said it's going to be much warmer, mostly in the south. High pressure is moving in through the weekend, and that's going to drive the warm weather. It's also going to be quite dry and pleasant for most places. There may be showers around next week, but for the most part it's going to be pleasant and turning warmer again. We're in for a very decent run of warm weather, with the temperatures possibly breaching 86 Fahrenheit. I am stunned. Can you believe it?
No.
Jonathan Powell, weather forecaster for Vantage Weather Services, said Britain will enjoy a week-long heat wave from Wednesday. So it's going to be good tomorrow. It's going to get slightly worse on Tuesday, and then we're going to have, according to this bloke, a week-long heat wave. This is summer. We're also, and don't rely on it. Once it gets warm, you think, oh, well, this is it. But it never really is. We're going to rely on this to the end of September, you think. It could be snowing by this time next month. Jonathan Powell, forecaster of Vantage Weather Services, said we're seeing the Azores high that people have been talking about. We're getting what we should be seeing anyway through the summer, but in shorter bursts. And we're in for a very decent run of warm weather from the end of next week, with temperatures getting over 86 Fahrenheit. It's likely to last right into the following weekend. He's saying not just next weekend, but the weekend after. The best of the weather chiefly in the south and southeast, slight blip on Tuesday, and when there will be some rain about, it'll be cooler in the north, but no disasters. That is what he said. 0845 6060 973. I thought that this was an underarm topic. I thought this would be a piece of cake there, because I could talk about suicide and depression.
Well, or you could not.
Well, exactly.
I think this is quite a big texting subject, though. We need people to actually...
Call.
Yeah,
to chat.
Yeah.
Big texting thing. Well, let's see what we've got so far.
Well, we haven't got a great deal.
You were wrong about that.
We've got more texts than calls, though.
Yeah. Tunbridge Wells. Hello, Mark.
Good evening, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good. I can't believe the Stones are still the biggest rock and roll band in the world, held in Glastonbury. And Mick Jagger is 70 next month. You know that, don't you?
Mm.
He's 70. What?
I didn't know that was the date of his birth, but I knew it was there or thereabouts, yeah.
Yeah, 26th of July, he's 70. So I was going to tell you about, there's a guy on the worldwide weight, as you call it. There's a guy called on YouTube called Privy Tricker, and he's incredible guitar player, and he's got like his own channel, and you put in a request and say, can you show me how to play this song? And then he sits there and shows you how to play it. And when you see Keith Richards stuff, all the stuff between about 69 and 73, when Graham Parsons, the guy, taught him how to do open tuning, and all the songs he played most of them were played in open G. And when this Privy Tricker guy, he's got these incredibly big hands and he plays his Keith Richards stuff, you can see that Keith Richards is the laziest guitar player in the world. But he is an absolute genius, because when you actually see this guy showing you what he does, and it's just like one finger, one note, and you go, oh my God. When people go about, Jimi Hendrix, go, no, Keith Richards is a genius, because he puts one finger on, he plays one little riff, and you go, oh my God, no wonder he was...
You know, for somebody who doesn't know anything about music, this knowledge came relatively late for me. I've just been reading about exactly this, and previously I thought that, you know, Keith Richards, if you ever see him live, he doesn't appear to do anything at all other than strum. I mean, he's no Eric Clapton, he's no Jeff Beck, or you know, no, he just isn't. He's not one of these. It's true. He's not one of these wizards of the guitar. He's a strummer. But the noise that he makes seems, and unless you actually know about music, which I don't, you would be unaware of this, because it seems that the noise that he makes it's odd. It's not what I would describe as like the expected note. It's kind of just like off the note, and that seems to inform the sound that they get, and that's probably one of the reasons they are so popular. If he played the clean note, and I don't really know what that means, but if it was the expected note, then it wouldn't have the same kind of sort of dangerous, kind of offhand, sort of shambolic sound to it. So that's the nature of his genius. He's not like a wizard technician, but he just manages to make a. The thing with the Stones that always sort of occurred to me was, it sounds like a band trying to play a song while they're falling down the stairs.
Well, look, don't you see, that is the genius, that when Keith Richards and Brian Jones and Mick Jagger, they got the place in Edith's Grove in Chelsea, they like spent 6 months in a bedsit when Keith Richards said Mick Jagger was going through his first camp period, where he used to come out in a dressing gown, call himself Phyllis or something, but Brian Jones and Keith Richards just spent a whole winter all they wanted to do was play the blues, so they actually learned to play all the Robert Johnson licks and all the stuff that they started to learn that they didn't know until he met Graham Parsons. He didn't realise that all the stuff he was playing in conventional E-tuning, that the stuff that Robert Johnson and all these great blues people were actually playing in an open chord, actually open tune. So, like you said, when you hear it, you expect it to sound like if you try to play most Stone songs in conventional tuning, you can't get the right key because he's playing it in an open key. So when you actually you see, sorry, go on.
No, you finish. I thought you'd done. Go on.
No, but that is why he is such a genius, because when you see someone like Jimi Hendrix, who's just like, you know, he was a god, but he played in conventional tuning. But for someone to play the way Keith Richards plays in open tuning and to be that sublime, you think, oh my God, he's such a clever man, because he's taken what these original blues guys did, and then he's learnt to do it, and he's recreated that, and he's got his own sound, and he's just, I think he should have done that, not Mick Jagger.
Wasn't it offered to them both? But Keith didn't want to have anything to do with being part of the establishment, whereas Mick has always yearned for that sort of thing.
Did you see when Keith Richards was asked? It's a little clip on YouTube. He says he's been interviewed about getting the knighthood, and he says, "I don't want anyone in that family coming near me, even with a sharp stick." Anyway, look, you have a good evening.
Thanks a lot, Mark. Well, this show's like an education, ain't it?
No.
It's a musical education. 0845 6060 973. Bring back Wimpy and Spud You Like, or Spadulike, as I used to call it. Wimpy. Oh, that was one of the first restaurants, certainly the first chain that I can remember that actually that put an idealised photograph of their food on the wall. I'll have that one, please. I'll have the sausage surprise. The furter that they used to bend around a tomato. Do you remember that, Amanda? Of course not.
No, I don't.
Once experienced, never forgotten. What else have we got? I'd like to do this. I'd like to see the return of my boomerang, says Gary. See? He's thinking. Scratch and sniff stickers. Manic Mirror Pack. Where's the comma in this? Manic Minor Pac-Man Space Raiders. What does that mean? Manic Minor... What does that mean? Do you know what that means?
No, I thought you'd know.
Manic Minor Pac-Man Space Raiders. Maybe there's several commas supposed to be in there. Manic Minor. Is that something? Pac-Man, I know what that is. And Space Raiders. I bet that's something too. Back Bacon. Back Bacon? What does that mean?
I don't know. I thought it was something from the olden days that you'd know about.
Back bacon? That's just a piece of a cow. You're one of those farmyard animals. Bring back Spitting Image. Political satire has become too true to life to be funny. Well, there isn't any political satire anymore, not that I can detect, apart from the American, The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. I don't think there's anything anymore. I mean, all you get in you get occasionally in newspapers they'll have the sketch, the parliamentary sketch, where they'll poke fun at parliamentarian, and then there's the cartoonists. But apart from that, there ain't nothing. I don't think there's anything on TV. Is there a single satirical program on? And you'd think that's the amount of material that they've got is there's a plethora of it. Bring back Green Shield stamps. And bring back the Hammersmith Palais. Well, that's long gone. I think they're building, probably small executive flatlets with clacky laminate flooring. Have I got that right? 0845 6060 973. Oh, here's just an adjunct to what I was talking about yesterday. I don't want to go off on the royal family again, but this is something that I didn't mention. This excruciating detail came out, I saw it today. And it's about trains. And I have... You know that France was really the progenitor of high-speed trains in Europe? Well, they're having second thoughts. I'll come to that in just a minute. As we're about to charge forward with HS2 and 3 and all of the rest of it, we're about to spend billions and billions and billions of pounds in order to get to, well, maybe it's not to get to Birmingham more quickly, maybe it's to leave more quickly. That would make more sense. But on the subject of trains, taxpayers picked up a £35,000 bill when Prince Charles used the royal train to visit the castle where Harry Potter films were shot.
What?
I am not making this up. 35 grand. A 550-mile 3-day trip was reportedly the most expensive last year. Well, it's probably the most expensive train trip in history. The Prince journeyed from Kemble, which was the nearest station to his Highgrove home in Gloucestershire, and then travelled... I'm amazed he didn't insist that they laid new track to go and pick him up at his door. He then travelled to Bishop Auckland in County Durham before heading to Alnmouth in Northumbria. He dropped in on Olmec Castle, which was used as the set for Potter's Hogwarts School, and Auckland Castle, and RAF Bulmer, and a brewery. He then journeyed on to King's Lynn, a Norfolk station near Sandringham, which is another royal residence. His trip last July cost £34,547. If he just used scheduled services, it would have cost £144. £144 versus £34,000. Palace accounts show that Charles made 6 royal train trips in the year, costing at least 10 grand each, a total bill of £148,000. An 8-day Middle East trip with Camilla cost £235,000 in chartered flights alone. And the Queen made 8 royal train journeys for 205 grand. You could buy a train for that, surely. A spokesman said the royal train was a secure... Now, imagine what the excuse... journalists would call up the palace asking them to explain themselves. Imagine what excuse they would come up with. Just have a wild stab in the dark. That's right. They said that the royal train was a secure way of ensuring they arrive at their destination. That's all they could come up with. They're not even trying to justify it anymore. That's the laziest excuse I've ever heard, as though ordinary trains don't arrive at their destination. It's why they're on tracks. The tracks lead to where they're going. There's not much doubt about where they're going to arrive. It smacks of, don't question us, peasant. But other train news, I'll do after the news. It's kind of surprising, really, considering where we're going, and we're following in France's footsteps, and they're having second thoughts. Meanwhile, here's a call in Wembley. Hello, Gina.
Hello.
Gina.
The Potter's Wheel for the interval in between the BBC Part 1 and Part 2 of the plays on a Sunday evening.
The Potter's Wheel.
Now, come on, you're old enough to remember the Potter's Wheel.
No, I remember the phrase, but I don't remember actually...
Don't remember?
Well, see, at that period, I would have been a child, so would have been utterly disinterested.
Went to bed before it started.
Yeah, probably that, but also not interested in watching a play.
Oh. Well, it was, it gave you just enough time to comfortably go and make yourself comfortable while you made a cup of tea and went back to watch Part 2.
But what was it, though?
Oh, it was a Potter's Wheel, it started with a lump of clay and it landed up with a vase
Wait a minute.
or something.
Are you saying that they stopped a play halfway through to show some bloke making a pot?
Oh, absolutely, because you couldn't have Part 1 and Part 2 running into one another. It was all civilised back in the 1950s.
That seemed... Well, now, I was going to say that would seem an alien concept to somebody who is familiar with modern television, but they are doing something similar to that now. If you watch
they call it adverts.
No, it's worse than that. They call it the news. If you watch a film, as I did just the other day, I was watching something tremendously exciting, and I think it was ITV2. ITV2 have zero respect for the programmes that they're showing. None at all. It was, what was it? Something thrilling. Oh, it was Star Wars. Star Wars Episode 1. And right in the middle of the key moment in the film, which was a race, a podcast race, they broke for the news.
And David Cameron swanning around. How he had the nerve to go out to the troops and tell them how proud he was after he sacked most of them, I really don't know.
Well, that is an interesting point. Thanks a lot, Gina. 084...
Words, more words.
Yeah, that bloke that was on the news saying, we're having a party, and I've been coming here for 31 years. Well, I was at Glastonbury about 31 years ago. 1981 or 2. 1982, I think, was the point at which I first went there. It was a tiny event. So he and I were probably there at the very same time. I may have thrown up on him. 0845 6060 973. Things that you would like to see the return of. And they're all food-related. Hi, Nick. I would love to see 80s chewy striped mint sweets called Pacers back. Never heard of them. I'd like to see marathon bars come back and get rid of Snickers and bring back the whirly birds and the banana splits. Unless they're cartoons, not food. What's a whirly bird? 0845 6060 973. Let me throw something else in there, because this one is obviously not taking your fancy. The confusion between men and women. Is there anything about men that you don't understand? Is there anything about women that you do not understand? I suppose that either sex can answer either question. But on the subject of sex, by the way, Alex Salmond has refused an invitation to a men-only Open Championship golf club. The Honourable Company of Edinburgh Golfers at Muirfield maintains the archaic policy of gentlemen only, ladies forbidden. Why would they want to do that? That's a bizarre thing about men that I don't understand. Why they want to why straight men would want to only consort with other men. What's the point of that? Scotland's First Minister Alex Salmond has said he would not attend the prestigious Open Championship due to the host course's continued ban on female members. Good on you, Alex. Despite being known as a golf fan, Salmond said he would not be at the world-renowned tournament when it's held in East Lothian next month. A spokesman for the SNP, the Scottish National Party leader, said that he had refused an invitation to the event hosted by the Honourable Company of Edinburgh Golfers at Muirfield Links course. Not very honourable, apparently. The First Minister will not be at Muirfield, but he wishes everyone involved all the best for a great tournament, said the spokesman. Salmond has previously attacked the Royal and Ancient Golf Club of St Andrews for its similar failure to offer noted women membership of the club. This has to be against the law, isn't it? It's a long-lasting tradition for the club, apparently, to offer gratis admittance to the principal of the nearby St Andrews University. But they pointedly failed to invite the female head of that university, Dr. Louise Richardson. No! Numpties. Here's a call in Enfield. Hello, Elizabeth.
Hello, Nick.
Elizabeth.
Hello there.
Hello
you were
there.
Talking about... hello. All right, then. Hello, Nick. How are you? I'm sure you're fine. You know, when you mentioned about the weather, this heat wave, I just quickly checked my weather app on my phone.
Yes.
And I saw no sign of it.
What?
Even though I have read about this impending heat wave and the really, really high temperatures, my weather app on my phone doesn't seem to know. It just
this is weird, because I looked it up on the World Wide Web just before I came here, and I could see no hint of it either. Your app and the information on the net is presumably from the very same people who are telling us otherwise.
It's very strange.
They can't
isn't it?
even agree with themselves.
No, and have you noticed it's never this week, it's always next week. It's like jam tomorrow. It's like there's going to be a heat wave.
Yeah.
There's going to be and it never arrives. And if it does, it's like one day, and then it kind of goes back to normal afterwards. And we never get a day of full sunshine.
It's guaranteed, Elizabeth. You can write it down in your diary. There'll be a blip on Tuesday. Yes, there'll be a blip on Tuesday, but it's going to be hot, hot, hot.
Well, I'll write it down, and then I'll look out the window, and I'll go outside, and I'll make notes.
You can start divesting yourself of your clothes.
Can I? Can I wear my summer things now?
Yes.
Have I got your official permission?
You can put your fleece and your woolens away, and take your nylon socks off, because everything will
And you know what else I can do? I can go back in time to the things that I missed from years ago. When you were talking about the Wimpy Bar, I thought, I've got to phone you, because we had a Wimpy Bar here in Enfield till not so long ago, even though it's obviously undergone lots of changes over the years. But when I was a kid, of course, it was the Wimpy Bar that you remember.
Yeah.
With the cheeseburgers, the Knickerbocker Glory,
It was
the rum.
it was a revelation, really, because it introduced the sort of glory of Americana to an otherwise moribund and grey high street.
Exactly. And it was the only place you could go to sit down and say, hey, I'll have the International Grill.
Yeah,
which is,
that's right, the International Grill, exactly right.
A James Bond sense of drama.
And they used to do milkshakes, which...
strawberry one.
Well, yes, but crucially, they weren't milkshakes as we know them now. They were, what we used to know as milkshakes were just flavoured milk.
Yeah, did they not have ice cream in?
No, they used to, the only drink that had ice cream in was a Coke float. Remember that?
Oh, yes, that's right. But I do remember they had strawberry, banana and chocolate, and that was it.
Ladies and gentlemen, they used to put a blob of ice cream in a glass of cola, as weird as that sounds.
Very strange. Do you remember the ice lollies of the 1960s as well? There was Fab.
I knew you were going to say Fab. Well, Funny Faces was one of my favourites.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember them.
I had an idea that this was going to be food we used to eat.
You remember the Funny Faces? They were pink and cream, weren't they? And they had the little chocolate things to make the faces.
And the eyes, yeah.
That's right. And we did have a golden egg. One of your callers, I think it was last night or maybe last week, was talking about the golden egg. And I thought, yeah, we had a golden egg, and you had never heard of it.
What's a golden egg?
The golden egg was like the Wimpy, only it was much bigger, and it was decorated in very plasticky, formica-y kind of orange and brown.
Yeah, it sounds like the 70s.
Oh, yeah, very 70s. And you would sit there...
Orange and brown. Let's just pause a moment to just drink the scene in. Orange and brown. The 70s was the decade that style forgot. Everybody looked bad.
Orange and brown, just like polyester suits from Man at C&A.
It's not just that everything looked bad in the 70s. Everyone looked bad, too.
Well, at the time we didn't think so.
I think that we did. Yeah, I think that we knew it instinctively. Yeah, it's just that we didn't have any alternative. People didn't look like looking smart was deeply uncool, and so people looked like they looked like death. They looked like mops.
Mops?
Yeah,
my God, some of my friends at university did. I mean,
they look like mops in bad denim. That's what we look like.
Yeah. Do you remember the flares? How wide the jeans got?
Do you remember? They weren't... Yes. Do you remember walking down the street in flares in the rain?
Yes, and everything got completely soaked at the bottom, didn't it? And there's the rain kind of soaked its way up your leg. And, oh my
God! And the flares would flap against your ankles, impeding your progress.
Totally. Yeah. Oh gosh, you're taking me back now.
Well, I do remember the first time I put drain pipes on because I was 12 in 1972, so I wore flares pretty much for my entire childhood. And the moment in 1976 when I put drain pipes on for the very first time, it was almost as like it was like taking the shackles off. Felt like I'm free. I can walk.
In 1976, you put on drain, but I thought it was the other way around. I thought that the flares were coming in the late 70s, didn't they? Or
no, 70. It was surely 72.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
Brutus jeans. I pull my blue jeans on. I pull my
David Dundas.
Brutus jeans on. Oh wow! See the stuff you can remember from.
I remember it all.
Unimportant things you can remember from decades ago. If I asked you what you did last weekend, Elizabeth, I bet you wouldn't be able to tell me.
I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, exactly. How weird the mind works.
I know. And when talking about the 60s, if you want to go back a decade, what about the TV shows we used to watch, like Stingray and Fireball XL5 and Crackerjack? Do you remember Crackerjack?
Yeah. Everybody used to get a pencil.
Or a cabbage.
A cabbage?
I think he used to give out cabbages as a booby prize. All I can remember is Leslie Crowther saying it's Friday, it's 5 to 5, and it's Crackerjack. Yeah, see, I don't know if today's kids would want that sort of programme. If you
it's got not got enough sex in it.
Well, it hasn't got anything in it, really. I mean...
I don't remember anything about it. Probably because there was nothing in it.
I used to watch it every week, and yet I can't remember it.
No, not a single thing. I mean, I can remember what used to happen in Magpie. They had Mark Bolan on.
Oh, Magpie.
Yeah,
that was Susan Strengths, wasn't it?
1 for sorrow, 2 for gold, 3 for...
No, 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy.
2 for joy, 3 for a girl and 4 for a boy. 3 for a girl,
4 for a boy.
5 for silver, 6 for gold, 7 for a secret never to be told. Magpie.
That's it.
Like I said, the nonsense that we remember from the unimportant rubbish that sticks in our mind, eh?
And there's something else I remember from way back, and I don't know how many people remember this, but, you know, in the days of independent television, before they all became bought up by each other. Yeah, but do you remember rediffusion? I mean, they used to have the little star that went round in between the adverts for washing powder and fairy liquid.
It's funny how it used to be that they used to say, well, now, the programme that you're watching, they didn't actually say it, but they pretty much, they indicated it. The programme you are watching is going to pause for a moment while we present some advertisements.
Oh,
and then they'd present the adverts, and then they'd tell you, get ready, because the programme you were watching is about to start. Now there's none of that. They just disappear the programme in front of your eyes, and suddenly, with no warning at all, you're watching an ad break.
Well, it was very genteel in those days, wasn't it? You know, very almost gentle television. Now it's very in your face, and the adverts seem to go on forever because
it's the Americanization of television. And there is one thing that American television does do, and I've been meaning to say this for a while, that we don't. And we definitely should. If you ever watch, if you ever see an American television program, you download it, or you know, some other legal way of getting your hands on an American TV program. The insistence on putting the logo of the channel that you're watching on the screen is still there, and yet the logo is much smaller. And crucially, they put it at the bottom of the screen. Now think about that. Think about that just for a moment. Your television screen is not so big that you wouldn't be able that you wouldn't miss a logo, regardless of where it's actually positioned on the screen. I mean, we're not talking about a 30-foot wide TV that you might not notice the logo if it's not where you expect it to be. So you can see the logo of the channel that you're on if it's at the bottom of the screen. But most of what you look at is at the top of the screen, because that's where people's eyes are.
Well, that's very true.
And people's eyes are often rendered invisible because they're talking at you from behind the logo.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, that is strange, though.
It's much more easy to ignore a logo if it's at the bottom of the screen, but you can still see it if you're concerned that you don't know what channel you're watching. And, you know, nobody ever is. If you're watching a programme, you don't care what channel.
You were watching,
exactly.
Though, you'd reach for the remote, and you would think, right, I'm going to watch channel whatever now.
So
and you
we
don't
should
need to have
do that. Television channels, listen to me carefully. Put the logo at the bottom of the screen and make it smaller and see-through. We won't
and
miss it.
And bring back old-fashioned adverts that were nice, and they had little tunes you could sing, like Martini. Remember the Martini advert?
Well, yeah. Yeah, I do.
Maybe it's just me being extra nostalgic.
No, I don't think so. I think everybody misses those.
Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot, Elizabeth. That walk down memory lane. 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3.
850 tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Hello. Here's a call in Tunbridge Wells. Hello, Peter.
Well, hello. May I just get the cushy bit out the way first to say what a pleasure it is to talk to someone who gives me so many hours pleasure.
Thanks, Peter.
Now, I would... Oh, how's the eye, by the way?
Pardon?
How's your eye?
Me eye?
Didn't you have something in your eye?
Oh, yes, and that was a while ago. Yeah, I remember it well. I was tremendously sick, Amanda.
Oh, really?
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear you're on the mend. I'm glad to hear you're on the mend. Okay, things I miss. Space dust, the banana split, and the Open University lectures that used to be on late at night with the men with the big long beards.
Yeah.
Right, and all kinds of mathematical equations and everything. And we never had a clue what they were on about, but we just used to love watching it late at night.
No, well, that's not true. You used to watch it, but that's the only reason that you did is because there was nothing else on.
Well, it could be because we were being up all night, yeah. Yeah.
But if you want an indication about how bad people used to look in the 1970s, then just try to dial that. I bet they're still available on the World Wide Web. Try to dial up one of those lectures, and people were wearing beards with unkempt hair and brown corduroy jackets.
Yeah, I've seen family photographs, a real photograph of the family in the 70s. And I learned a new word today, just before we finished. A friend said to me, the plutocrats had taken over the world, and I thought, what's he on about, Pluto and the aristocrats or something? and he explains what the plutocrats were, and it did give me a chuckle for 20 minutes.
Yeah, nothing to do with the cartoon dog. Plutocrats have taken over the world. Yeah, you're quite right there, Peter. Thanks a lot, mate. 0845 6060 973. What are whirly-birds? I know the banana splits. La 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 la. That's the banana splits, right? Unless they're talking about actual banana splits with ice cream and bananas.
I think
they're probably talking about the cartoon. Those cartoons used to be.
Banana splits was not a cartoon.
Yeah, well, no, that's right. No, it was people in suits. Yeah,
what?
It was very psychedelic.
Groovy.
It was a bit trippy.
Yowza.
The banana splits.
People dressed in suits.
Yeah, in weird animal suits.
Oh, I thought it was real.
You are weird. And I really mean that. 0845 6060 973. Most of the rest of these suggestions are food-related. This one says, I would love to see 80s chewy striped mints called Pacers back. They were so yummy. Do you remember those? No. I would like to see marathon bars come back and get rid of Snickers. It's the same thing. Bring back the Bionic Woman. Well, they're bound to. That has to be about the only superhero that doesn't have a film out at the moment. The Bionic Woman. It says, I had the doll, purchased with Green Shield stamps. P.S. Scratch and sniff stickers are still around. My son has some, says Liz. No, that's not scratch and sniff, Liz. It's just that you need to throw his shoes out. Bring back the Bay City Rollers, says Pat. No, 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 no.
Negative.
No. Hideous. Excruciatingly, awfully bad. You know, they had some musical awards just recently, and they asked the public what they thought. Never ask the public what they think, because the danger is they'll tell you. They said, what is the greatest live act that currently exists? And you might think, well, they might say the Rolling Stones, and the audience said no. And you would think, well, perhaps it's U2. Let's go through the list, shall we? Maybe it's Coldplay. Guess which band they said?
It's going to be something hideous, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. If the Steps are still going, then I'd say Steps.
Yeah, you're on the right road. Yeah, the best live act that currently exists in the world, according to the public,
right.
Those that expressed a preference, is One Dimension.
Rock and roll!
That is stunning. Idiots.
Wow. Who did they ask? Because they didn't ask. Nobody asked me. Did anybody ask you?
No.
Well, there you go. They didn't go out and ask anybody. They just.
They asked people that they shouldn't have asked. They shouldn't have ought to asked them. Leytonstone. Hello, Sophie.
Hello, Nick.
Sophie.
That's the power of the teenage vote, you see.
Yeah, they do.
One Dimension.
But they won't vote for anything political, but they will vote for something that they can scream at. Yeah.
Well, they should be voting for politicians then, so they can scream at them.
Well, it's the sexual nature of the screaming that makes them want to makes them want them vote. I can't think of a single politician of any stripe who would get teenage girls to scream.
No. Scream in frustration, Nick.
Oh, that.
Yeah. But you know, I'll tell you before I go on to my main point, the best live band alive today.
You're going to say something that's going to upset me, aren't you?
No, it isn't.
The best live band that is alive today, yes.
You have Welsh blood, so you might agree. It's the Stereophonics.
Right, it's the wrong answer, but thanks for playing.
But you know what they should bring back, which they have got rid of? There are actually 2 points. Number one, those halfpenny sweets, and you'd think that kids would be a lot bigger then because they were so cheap and you could get about 100 in your little bag.
What's a halfpenny sweet?
You know, the chocolate mice, the fish and chips, the white chocolate fish and chips.
You used to be able to get those for a halfpenny?
Honestly, half a penny. I'm not joking. I'm not talking about the 1920s either.
Okay.
It's true, honestly. Your callers will confirm it. And the other thing, which I really want them to bring back, is in the 70s, well, I remember anyway, they used to have an interval during films in the cinemas.
Yeah, I remember that. I can vividly remember the halfway point in the Towering Inferno, and it was just when I think Steve McQueen was on a staircase, and the staircase exploded, and he was left hanging in midair in the middle of this Towering Inferno, hence the name of the film. And the screen went blank, and people came in with chalk ices.
Yeah, she used to go around with a wooden tray and a ribbon around her neck.
But the thing is with that, I mean, certain people, particularly if you've had a drink beforehand, you need to go to the lavvy about halfway through, right? I usually wait till there's like a kissing scene, because I know they're not going to actually do it. So I use that opportunity to go to the toilet, because they'll be talking about their feelings and their emotions.
Boring!
Yeah, so I nip to the loo and then come back in time for the car chase.
But you might miss a crucial point, you see. So
well,
that's why
exactly, yeah.
I never know when to go, so bring back the interval.
The interval, yes. Every now and again I'll go to the theatre and they'll give me the dreadful news that there is no interval in this production, and you can't nip out to the loo because they won't let you back in again.
No, I know, maybe you shouldn't drink so many liquids.
Well,
before
yeah,
you go
that is true, but it's hard to avoid. And so you sit there and you feel like your eyeballs are floating and you can't think of anything else. You've lost concentration of anything other than maintaining your composure. Well, maintaining what's inside.
Exactly. Maybe your filmmaker should make the boring bit sort of halfway through, and that's the bit you miss.
Oh, there should be like a little sign that comes on the screen that says, "Go now," because you won't miss any story. As long as you can be back within 2 minutes, then the characters will be talking about their feelings.
Exactly, and also I remember you could go to double bills in the 70s.
Yeah, that's
you'd
right.
have 2 films.
Yeah. How anybody without some sort of psychotropic help could sit through 2 whole films is beyond me.
And you could also, once you paid, sit in the cinema all day long. So if you needed to go to the loo, arguably, you could go at different points and then get the whole film.
Wow, you've really thought this through.
I've got too much time on my hands,
Exactly, yeah. All right, thanks a lot, Sophie.
Bye.
Ta-da, 0845 6060 973. That is a good idea. They should bring back intervals. I mean, particularly for something like Lord of the Rings or something that lasts forever. You know, they're making films that are 3 hours long. Who on earth can sit through a 3-hour-long film without having to nip to the loo? Nip to the loo, my darling. I miss Fonzie and Happy Days. Bring it back, says Dean. You know what, Dean? You probably don't. You probably just missed the period when you were young and you thought that Fonzie was cool, and you got a sense of excitement because you put yourself in his shoes. You got your vicarious kicks by thinking that you were as cool as Fonzie. And come to find out when you got older, Fonzie wasn't really cool at all. He was just some old bloke in jeans that were way too tight for him and a bad haircut. And he didn't look like he could handle himself in a fight, either. I mean, he was always, going up against people that could actually crush him with their little finger, but because it was the Fonz. And the other thing about him was he was about, how tall would you say? About 3'6"? Something like that. This tiny old bloke. It's the antithesis of cool. Having said that, I do wish him all the best, and, it's what great memories, eh? Yes?
The one cool thing that he did used to do was bang the jukebox, and the music would come on. That was it.
Well, the best thing that he ever did was they always played it in the credits at the beginning, and this is how he got the part, apparently, because they brought him in for what do you call it? No, they brought him in for the where you try out to be an actor. What do they call that?
The audition.
The audition is exactly right. And I think the thing that he did was the thing that they kept for the titles. And it was when he went to the mirror and went to comb his hair, and then saw that his hair was actually perfect, so he didn't touch it. And he went, "Hey, exactly right." That was the only cool thing he did. But apart from that, excellent show. What memories? 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3. It's 11:30.
60973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Everything is going extremely well.
Yeah, just had a text that says, bring back the prisoner. Well, they did. I think it was a year or so ago, something like that. There was, I think Ian McKellen was in it, and it was awful. Terrible. Bring back the prisoner. No, they've done that. Don't bring back the prisoner. You can repeat the original one, just don't try to remake it. Not now, not ever, never. Here's calling Dumbarton. Hello, Andy.
Oh, hi, Nick.
Andy.
Yeah, the prisoner wouldn't work. It was of its time. In fact, it was crazy enough for its time, so it just didn't work today.
And I loved that when it first came out, but I have tried to watch it since, and you're absolutely right. It's you can't go back.
Yeah, in fact, I enjoy watching a lot of old TV series. A lot of them have dated badly, but I also enjoy there's a sort of campiness to them, but there's also a sense of adventure that isn't there in modern TV, because you could get lost. Back in the 70s, I remember watching, right, as a young boy, whatever, I remember watching, for instance, The Protectors would come on. Remember The Protectors?
That's really weird, because I knew you were going to say that. That was
really?
the Protectors. That wasn't that one that started with the fountain in the lake in Geneva, and they could talk to each other without speaking.
No, that's The Champions.
Ah.
Now, that the most beautiful woman who ever existed was in that. That was a young Alexander Bastido, one of my dream girls. But yes, but I mean.
Well, what was The Protectors?
The Protectors was Nairi Dawn Porter was in it, and a young Robert Vaughan. If you remember, they were like a crime-busting duo. She was a Contessa, and it seemed to be set in foreign climes, luxurious places like Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
They solved crimes at just in the nick of time, and it was. Everything about it was Fantasyland. I think it was one of Lou Grade's mega productions.
Right.
And
wasn't he? He was also the fellow who did The Persuaders with Tony Curtis and Roger Moore, right?
Yes. Well, that was a bit ridiculous. That was one of the first. That was one of the first sort of buddy TV series.
Well, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It was ridiculous, but it's good to watch. But it was absurd. But the Protectors were a little bit better. There's a few like that come out round about that time, and usually you would see it maybe on a Sunday evening or something, and you get sort of lost in it, and it was a big world outside, the world you never dreamt you would ever know. But now, when you're much older, much cynical, and you can go and visit these places, and they're all over the TV, 24 hours a day, 7, they've lost all their mystique, lost all their magic.
That's right, because, I mean, the point that you make is a good one, is that at the time that they made them, people didn't really go abroad on holiday.
Exactly.
It was beyond them.
Beyond them, yeah. The only way you saw the outside world was on shows like this.
Well, Alan Wicker showed us the outside world.
Yes, Alan Wicker, yeah, he was terrific, yeah. But that was it. So you could, as a young boy, you'd get lost in it, and it was pure escapism, and you'd want to be like that and grow up to be like that, and maybe one day have one of those little sports cars. And it was of its time. It was great. It was pretty harmless. Now we just take it for granted.
If it was one of those Triumph sports cars, Andy, you'd look great sitting in it, but it would never actually start.
Yeah. Well, in fact, that's another thing. I haven't told you what I would like to see brought back yet is, but now that you mention it, cars. Now, I've had many cars, 10 cars maybe, more than that, I think. And let me tell you, 1970s cars were... British Leyland, everybody involved in it should be put in prison for the cars that they built in the 70s. Nicky, they were horrible.
One of the first cars that I ever really, really fell in love with as a child was a Triumph Stag. And I don't think to this day any Triumph Stag has ever started first time.
No, yeah, exactly. Don't get me wrong, they were beautiful to look at. They had so much class, those lines, those curves, those big headlights, everything about... I don't mean that you're Hillman Avengers now, I don't mean that. I mean the classic cars. Yeah. But when you look at them, I mean, my dream one day was to own an MG. That was my little dream car. But when I look back on it now, an MG was just a rust bucket. You could put your foot through the floor of them. They were death traps. And when you look at a modern car, right, I mean, my last car I had for about 3 or 4 years, I don't think it ever failed to start a single time. I think when I sold it, I don't think it had a grain of rust on it. They're so far superior now, but what they have lost, Nick, is their total character.
Character. You're absolutely right. I was thinking this just the other day. I passed a garage that sells vintage cars. Mm-hmm. Don't ever buy one for many, many reasons. But boy, they look fantastic. I mean, those old Mercedes that are covered in chrome from the 60s, probably. That's probably the most magnificent cars that ever drove down the road. And you compare the stuff that they got in their window with the plastic, shapeless charmless blobs.
Soulless.
Yes,
Soulless.
exactly right. Soulless.
I mean, my car runs as smooth as anything. You know what I can do with it? I can put a USB stick in it and play my entire record collection, and not take a CD or a tape or anything even in the car. It does tricks like that, but there are times when I miss my very first car, and so many years ago. But today's cars are soulless but perfect, if you see what I mean. But in many ways, I don't tinker with them. I couldn't touch an engine now, whereas back in the day when I was 19, I remember lifting an engine out my car in the snow. I mean, but then again, I was young. But can I go back to what I called up about now?
Right.
What I would love to see return, and which I missed terribly.
Go on.
Vinyl LPs.
Well, funny you should say that. I was in an actual record store. Yes, they still exist. And the place was full of vinyl record LPs of new releases.
Well, that's the thing. You see, they never died.
Guess how much they cost?
How much?
They're about 25 quid each.
Exactly. That's because it's so hard to produce such a limited number. The thing is, Nick, vinyl LPs, it wasn't just the playing of the music. It was the experience. They were tangible. You could touch them. You could watch them spinning. You can sit with your feet up, read the sleeve notes in the back.
Well, you could see how long the tracks... on the bus home back from the record store, you could take the record out of the sleeve and see how long the tracks lasted. And I can remember the shiver of excitement when I got, Physical Graffiti, for instance, and saw how long... I had no idea what the tracks actually sounded like, but you could see how long they were. Or a Pink Floyd album, you could see the track lasted almost the entire side of the album, and you were thrilled beyond measure. You couldn't wait to play it.
It was an event. It was also a social thing as well. Many a happy hour I spent lost in record shops, just delving. Before you know it, was the shop owner was saying, "Come on, make your purchase and get out." You know, the afternoon had flown in, and I remember that as a young boy.
And you know what? The kids today are going to be having the exact same conversation in about 5 years' time, when CDs don't even exist, and everything will just be this thing in the air that you can't touch. It'll all be in the cloud.
Exactly, and there's nothing real, no memories, nothing you can look at with fondness. And I mean, what's to look at on a digital MP3 file? There's nothing. It's just a bunch of computerised zeros and ones. There's nothing there. I used to show my little nephews when they were young LPs. They'd never seen one, and I showed them a turntable. I've had lots of turntables. That's a passion of mine. Like this, believe it or not, hi-fi turntables. I sit and watch YouTube videos of exotic turntables. I mean, that's how sad I am. But I remember when he was at the age to appreciate these things. He would look at it and think, "What is it?" You know, and you'd put on a record and spin, and he'd watch a little face as it spun round. You know, he was just so used to instant music at the touch of a button. And then when you looked at a CD, which is a tiny picture, I can't even read anything in it. My eyesight's and then I pick up a picture from maybe Joe Loss, right, from the 1970s LP on the beach, and there's a full 14-inch by 14-inch Brazilian beauty on the front, and he looks at that and says, "Now, what would you rather have? Zeros and ones that you press in a box, or a little disc that disappears into a shoebox, or sit and look at a picture of that?" Yeah,
something that you can put on your wall and float away on your own happy little dream. Yeah.
Exactly, and so that's one aspect of.
Well, I think character is the underlying thing that you miss from what is available in the modern world. Yeah, there seems to be some character that's been lost.
Bring back character.
All right, thanks a lot, Andy.
Right, bye.
You know, I read an article in the newspaper the other day that said how pretentious it was that DJs in clubs. There's this new like a movement, a brief movement. It will flicker out like a match. But there's like cool DJs in clubs are now doing vinyl only sets. You know, where they mix together. Yes.
But that's been going on for ages.
Well, I was surprised to learn that they don't do vinyl, that DJs don't play vinyl anymore. But I go past, there's...
I wouldn't say that's true.
Well, there's this dance station that's in the building, and I go by it in order to, get to where we work. And they're there doing the wiki woo, mixing tracks together and they don't... They're never playing vinyl. They're only ever playing CDs. And to me, that looks like cheating, because the machine gets them to the same beats per minute for you. Whereas, it were grand in my day. Well, you used to have to do it manually.
Well, I still know people that do it with vinyl, and I'll go to places where people are just playing vinyl. I don't think it's that unusual.
What, you still go out?
Occasionally I do.
You're not hip and with it. Who are you trying to kid? 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3.
If you're suffering 97.3, call 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Tweet at LBC 973. This is London's biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Absolutely.
0845 6060 973. Well, France, talking about things that we would like to see the return of. France has spearheaded the slow lunch along with Italy. Now they're spearheading slow trains. Anger spread through regional France yesterday after Paris turned its back on high-speed rail travel. Now, keep in mind that we're about to spend, 30 billion? And if they say it's going to be 30 billion, then it'll be 50 billion, or 60 billion, or 180 billion, or 8 billion, zillion, trillion, gazillion pounds on the HS2, this high-speed rail network that's going to get us to Birmingham 20 minutes for only £60 billion. You'll be able to shave a whole 20 minutes off the journey time to Birmingham. What great value for money, eh?
Negative.
And it'll be ready as soon as 2036, by which time we'll be magicking ourselves from A to B. Anyway, France, which has championed high-speed rail, is now saying we're not going to do it anymore. President François Hollande's cabinet said that it would revise plans to invest €245 billion in transport infrastructure, notably 28 railway lines over the next 20 years, reversing 50 years of public policy. They've approved a report that denounced fast trains as ruinous and suggested that the French should turn to boats and coaches instead. Sacré bleu! Decision-makers in these regions wanting fast-track trains were aghast. In southwest France, where there are plans for a fast-track line between Bordeaux and the Spanish border, this is now under threat. Alain Rousseau, the socialist chairman of the Aquitaine Regional Authority, predicted an enormous dispute. Un dispute énorme. I'm going to try my best all the way through this. What are you eating?
A banana.
Christian, always eating.
I'm not always eating.
Constantly.
It's not constantly.
Shoving food in your great gaping mouth.
Fee.
Anyway, you enjoy yourself, and I'll carry on in here. Okay. In southwest France, where plans for a fast-track line between Bordeaux and the Spanish border are under threat, Alain Rousseau, the socialist chairman of the Aquitaine Regional Authority, predicted an enormous dispute. Christian Estrosi, the mayor of Nice, was also said to be in a black fury, an agitation noire. I bet I got that wrong. Fans of France's train à grande vitesse, trains at big speed, which reach speeds of more than 300 kilometres an hour, which is 186 miles an hour, said they've been an essential component of national development since they first came into service in 1981. Not only are they a symbol of French engineering, but they've cut the journey time between Paris and Marseille from 5.5 hours to 3 hours. Well, that's a significant difference, but France is bigger than we are. However, the report from a socialist MP says that the high-speed track had left the rail network with a debt of, and this is the part that we should attend to closely, the high-speed track had left the rail network with a debt of €32 billion, which could rise to €61 billion by 2025. Meanwhile, we are charging ever onwards with this crazy notion that that's what we're going to do, build HS2. National and local authorities in France subsidise the railways to the tune of €12.5 billion every year. And fares and freight bring in less than that, less than the subsidy they're actually making in fares. The high-speed lines, which cost £38 million per kilometre, were extremely expensive and of disputed socio-economic efficiency, says Monsieur Durand, who cobbled together this report that the French government has now approved. with the government pledging to cut spending next year for the first time since 1958. Monsieur Durand urged passengers to use road and freight operators to use riverboats. The modern coach, he says, which has been long ignored, can constitute a permanent response to the needs of mobility. The waterways offer a solution for heavy merchandise. I commend the report to the House. Let's do that. You know, there's a giant thoroughfare that wends its way right through the middle of London that's hardly used at all except for tourist boats and the transportation of rubbish. There's almost nothing else on the Thames. Criminally underused. Here's a caller in Whitechapel. Hello, Peter.
Hello, Nick. Yeah, whirlybirds, they're helicopters. It was a 1950s very early television programme set in America, and they call them whirlybirds and not helicopters.
Ah.
Yeah, so that's what one of them is. And things that should be brought back, or things that I want bringing back, are more sherbet in sherbet lemons. You get sherbet lemons these days, and you've got no sherbet in them. You see, I like sucking a hole in the end and then sucking all the sherbet out. It's really nice.
Now, it's not that your aged tongue is now too leathery to experience the sherbet, which once sent your mouth all a spangle. It's not that, is it? It's not just your age that's a factor here.
No, they just don't put enough sherbet in them.
Right.
And things that should be brought back on television, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Yeah, wasn't that Patrick McGowan as well?
No, it wasn't. It was Richard Basehart.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah.
Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. And throughout the entire programme, there was the noise that went, boom.
Maybe, yeah. And one more thing. Yeah, on the programme Magpie, the children's television programme, do you know the name of the magpie? It had a great name.
The name of the magpie?
Yeah, the name of the magpie.
What, the name of the magpie?
Had a name.
Right, the
name.
Yeah,
the magpie had a name.
Which magpie, though?
The magpie on the kids' television programme Magpie. It had a name.
Was it Maggie?
No, look it up.
Okay, I'll look it up. I don't know. It sounds like these days it would be very just by the giggle in his voice. Look it up for me, Amanda, and we'll check it out in the World Wide Web.
I'm doing that.
You are doing it with trepidation.
I am, yeah. So don't read anything out until I say
All right, until you give me the thumbs up. Yeah, okay then. 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's @lbc973. The confusion between the sexes is not going to become less confusing. For instance, the word husband will in future be applied to women, and the word wife will refer to men. This is something that the government has decided.
What?
I'm not making this up. The word husband will in future be applied to women, and the word wife will refer to men. This is what the government has decided. Did you find it yet?
No.
Civil servants have overruled the Oxford English Dictionary and hundreds of years of common usage, effectively abolishing the traditional meaning of the words for spouses. The landmark change is contained in the fine print of a new official legal guidance drawn up for MPs and peers as the government's same-sex marriage bill is debated. Now, when I was reading this, I thought, oh, well, it's just some old nonsense that a newspaper that doesn't want gay people to marry will cobble together in order to frighten the people in the shires. But maybe it's actually true. The landmark change contained in the fine print to the new official legal guidance as the government's same-sex marriage bill is debated. The word husband in future will be applied to women, and the word wife will refer to men, as well as the other way around. I mean, they're not insisting that you change it. It's, what's it? Murgatroyd.
Murgatroyd.
There's nothing rude about that, is there?
No, there isn't. I've Googled it. It's fine.
Have you tried anagramming it?
No, I haven't gone that far. There is a whole website dedicated to Murgatroyd, so...
Well, there used to be the phrase heavens to Murgatroyd.
Yeah, that's what it says here.
Well, what does that mean?
You just read it from there.
No, that's the only thing that I know about Murgatroyd, heavens to Murgatroyd.
Well, let me find out what it means.
Okay. We could still be in a lot of trouble. We never know. This husband referring to women and wife referring to men is part of a government initiative to clarify what we're... This is them trying to clarify things. They're trying to clarify what words will mean when gay marriage becomes law. But critics described it as the vocabulary of cloud cuckoo land. It follows claims by opponents of the redefinition of marriage that universally understood terms such as father and mother might be simply deleted by bureaucrats on official forms. They condemned the system adopted in some countries such as Spain, where there's no romance to this at all. You won't like it. Parents are sometimes referred to as progenitor A and progenitor B. And critics are calling this Orwellian. And those people running this country are experts on Orwellianism. Instead of progenitor A and progenitor B, officials have decided to allow the words for spouses to be used interchangeably for people of either gender in some contexts. And that is why the word husband will in future also apply to women, and the word wife will also refer to men. The whole world's gone insane. This means, says a spokesperson, that husband will include a man or a woman in a same-sex marriage, as well as a man married to a woman. Did you get that? Husband will include a man or a woman in a same-sex marriage, as well as a man married to a woman. In a similar way, wife will include a woman married to another woman, or a man married to a man. Are you getting this? I'm confused, and I'm reading it. The result is that this section is to be construed as including both male and female same-sex marriage. That's what the explanation is saying. I think we need an explanation to the explanation. It then goes on to say that in future, however, the term... if you've already got your head around that, then wait, because it gets worse. The term husband will in future legislation include a man who is married to another man, but not a woman in a marriage with another woman. Is that clear?
No.
And wife will include a woman who is married to another woman, but not a man married to another man, unless specific alternative provision is made. Well, let's hope that they make specific alternative provision in order to add to the layers of complexity that already exist on this. And so they asked a spokesman for the Coalition for Marriage, you know, the right-wing conservative organisation that wants to keep things the way they are. Or the way they used to be, more accurately. And the spokesman for Coalition for Marriage, which campaigns against the change, said... All words to that effect. I just made that up. He actually said... 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nica@lbc.co.uk. And if you're on Twitter, it's at LBC973. The news is that Terminator is returning with Arnold Schwarzenegger. What would you like to see return? What did you used to be able to do, feel, touch or see that you cannot anymore? 0845 6060 973.
Nick Abbott.
Think you're talking to?
Yes, never mind about 57 degrees. That's just, I couldn't imagine it. The air actually too hot to breathe. But it's going to be thoroughly pleasant here tomorrow. We'll get the weather forecast seems to be contradictory. The people who are making the weather forecast are contradicting themselves. One says it's going to be 86 degrees this week, and the other, nothing of the sort. So we'll find out. We'll have detailed files, don't you worry about that. Wurzel Gummidge says this. Things that you would like to see back. Wurzel Gummidge. I'd love it if they would bring back Wall's Funny Feet ice cream, and also He-Man, She-Ra, and Rude Dog and the Dweebs. I've got no idea what any of that means. Hi, Nick. I would like to see back from the 70s my long, lush, dark hair. I can't believe they haven't come up with a cure for that. I mean, think of ways in which you could make £1 billion really quickly come up with a cure for male pattern baldness. I'm stunned they haven't invented something that fixes that. The thing I would like to see back from the 70s, my long, lush, dark hair, a real fish and chips. What does that mean? And all day Sunday closing for the shops. No! Lady with a hand in the air.
You didn't read that properly. It was bring back chips, as in the California Highway Patrol.
No.
That's what it said.
No, this is this next one. I just deleted. Look, I'll undelete it. See, only real fish and chips. See, stupid.
Yeah, all right. Only real fish and chips.
On the high road, I think.
On the high road.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't get that. Well, listen, you cut and pasted it. You pre-approved that for me to read.
I hadn't had the chance.
This is a live show. Are you aware of it? I can't read things before I read them.
What?
I can't pre-read stuff. I just have to assume that you're doing your job. Are you doing your job? No.
I hadn't had the chance to edit that one yet.
Oh, what? Because you're too busy in there doing...
I've just been eating a banana.
Exactly, yes. Enjoying yourself. Here's a call in Chiswick. Hello, Milan.
Hi, Nick.
Milan.
You're a professional. You can deal with it.
I'll work through it. Don't you worry about that.
Things I love to bring back are comedy programs that are actually funny.
Funny, yeah. I can remember funny.
You can remember funny. 1 Foot in the Grave and Only Fools and Horses. I just watched the DVDs all time and time again, and it still cracked me up. The script is absolutely amazing.
There's precious few things that actually make me laugh out loud. You know, maybe I should do the topic of guilty pleasures, but my guilty pleasure at the moment is watching Joan Rivers on a thing called Fashion Police. She is 80, what is she, 86, something like that? Maybe I've given her a few years. Maybe she's 80. It's something like that. She's got to be the oldest working comic on television, and she also, bizarrely, is the funniest.
I think, yeah, she's pretty old, isn't she? She's very old.
I thoroughly recommend, even if you're not remotely interested in women's dresses, which I'm not, it's hilarious. It is, I'd say, laugh out loud funny. It's one of the only programs on television that will do it for me.
But it is, as I can't find anything that's funny, and the thing that gets repeated a lot is a program which, for some reason, people find funny, which I don't, is Last for Summer Wine. I have no idea why people find that at all funny.
It's one of those programs, and there's a lot of them. Most British sitcoms are sort of like that. They're not laugh out loud funny. They're more like comforting.
Yeah, it's just very boring and droll. It's just not droll. Just very boring and just a bit.
Well, I would put the new queen of British comedy in that category as well, because I tried to watch. What's the woman with one name? What's she called?
Miranda.
Yeah.
Miranda.
I tried to watch that after everybody was sort of frothing at the mouth. Oh, this woman is a genius. And I lasted about 10 seconds and I thought, this is not for me. This is like back to the 70s. It's just painfully awful.
And if we're talking about on a say a professional front, what I like to bring back sometimes is an era where Blackberries weren't invented. So,
well, if you wait there, Milan, the Blackberries are busy uninventing themselves.
I'm caught up on the latest.
I'll give them 5 years. Tops.
But I mean, there was a time where if a client sent you an email on the Friday evening, it's assumed that you'd read it Monday morning. But then with the invention of Blackberries, if the client sends you an email Friday evening, it's assumed that you'll read it 5 minutes later.
Yeah, and then respond, regardless of what time it is, yeah.
Regardless of what time. And the amount of times I've had to, go in on a Saturday night or Sunday, and it's just, it's just just because I had the BlackBerry and it.
Yeah, well, I you know what, I've got a rule about that, and it's that after office hours, which are between 11:30 and midday on Monday and Tuesday, then I don't respond to any emails or messages of any kind, and neither should anybody else. I mean, after 5, 6 tops, you've finished work. I mean, you have to have some time to yourself.
Well, you'd think, but then they think, well, you know, the client's so demanding that you need to respond, otherwise they'll just go elsewhere. Because
isn't it strange? I mean, there's something that nobody's mentioned yet, but time. Wouldn't it be nice to have time back? I can remember having great acres of time, such that you just got bored with nothing to do. Whereas these days, with all these so-called labour-saving devices, with the instantaneous communication, whereas you before would receive a letter on a Monday, or you would send it on a Monday, and you wouldn't expect to get a response for maybe 2 weeks. These days, if you send an email to somebody and you wait more than 2 minutes, people start pulling their hair out.
Yeah, I think I'm guilty of that sometimes, especially when I need to have an urgent reply.
Yeah.
And it's and sometimes it's a bit annoying, but sometimes in the sent item, I resend the email I've sent.
Oh, that's bad.
I said, further to the email below.
That's really bad.
But if I
mean, you're doing it on the same day.
Yeah.
Oh, you should restrain yourself. Don't do that, Milan.
But if I need to have an urgent answer, because it's work-related or whatever,
suppose so.
But I'm not one of these people who puts up a Facebook update and then kind of refreshes every minute.
And you know, my life isn't very fast-forward. My life doesn't revolve around working from 9 till 6 in an office every day. I'm not constantly in demand. Quite the reverse. But I'm guilty of it as well. I'll send even a friend a text. And I'll look at the phone expecting an instantaneous response. And if I haven't received a response within an hour, then I start to think the worst. Well, who the hell does this person think they are? Ignoring me.
Ignoring me.
I'm going to have a stern word with my mother, I'll say.
You know, something interesting happened this week. I mean, not this week. Yesterday. With my car, the brake fluids started to evaporate. So I took it to the mechanics, and I didn't have a car the whole weekend, so I had to use public transport and walk everywhere, and it's such a refreshing change. And it's just like the reliance on cars, where now actually using public transport and walking and actually taking a book on the bus is like really interesting.
Books? No one reads books anymore. You know what? One thing about about modern communications technology, one thing about the smartphone, that it has unlocked the potential of an old thing that we have always sort of grumbled about and put up with and disliked for the very reason that we never knew that we could rely on it, and we never knew when the next one was going to come, and that's buses. You know, if you've got a smartphone and an app on your phone that tells you when the next bus is going to arrive and how to get from where you are to where you want to be without advanced knowledge of the bus system, it's brilliant. It's opened up the possibility of buses and the potential of buses, and it's still the same system. It's just that you couldn't previously use it. Because I can remember standing in the rain, in the dark, looking at a bus timetable, which would sort of yellowed and frayed on the in that little glass display case on the lamppost there, and not being able to read because the light wasn't directly on it. And you'd actually have no idea when the next bus was coming. Now, your phone will tell you to the second when it will arrive.
Here's a question for you. On the underground, I'd imagine within a few years, you'll be able to make phone calls because there'll be phone call capability. Would you be in favour of that in a carriage where you're stuck between 10 different conversations?
Well, it depends. Well, probably not, because the volume of the noise in a carriage would mean that people are going to have to really shout. I mean, people shout down the phone anyway because it's like a psychological thing. Because you can't see who you're talking to, you naturally raise your voice. You don't need to. It's just you can't help yourself. But if you're if the surrounding noise level is really loud, people are going to be screaming at each other on the phone.
Oh God!
So for that reason, no.
So I miss peace and quiet then.
Well, yeah. I mean, that is actually a good thing. That's something that we've lost: peace and quiet and time. Time to get bored. Time to get bored because you've got nothing to do.
me time.
Yeah, the shops are shut. The TV is there's nothing actually on daytime television because that doesn't exist yet. It's a Sunday, and all you can do is sit there and watch the clock ticking slowly round, wishing the day away.
I remember walking around Chiswick High Road and on a Sunday, and it was just completely empty. There was nothing was going on. Now it's gridlock traffic on a Sunday. It's just amazing.
Haven't we come far, eh? How things have changed. All right, thanks a lot, Milan. Cheers for that. 0845 6060 973. Nick Abbott, LBC 97.3.
Biggest conversation with Nick Abbott.
Are you trying to be funny? Because I'm all out of laughs.
Boris is funny even when he's not trying to be funny. He's our bumptious new signing. 08, don't miss a second of it. 0845 6060 973. Here is Croydon. Hello, Ken.
Oh, hello. Yeah, you mentioned the word Murgatroyd.
Yeah.
Well, that's a comedy team, Murgatroyd and Winterbottom. Now, it's either a duo or it's a comedian who used to refer to Murgatroyd and Winterbottom. So if you said you didn't know what Winterbottom was.
No, I didn't know what I didn't know what the phrase "heavens to Murgatroyd" was, or where that came from.
Oh, have you heard of Murgatroyd?
No, I have never heard of that.
Definitely. Get your assistant to have a look. When you're talking about the return of comedy, I'd like to hear Will Hay. You know Will Hay, do you?
Well, see, I know the name, but I don't know anything about it.
War broke out. My wife said to me, that'd go on like that. It's really good comedy, plus the goons, of course.
Yeah, I think that's sort of much of comedy is of its era, and like some just last forever, like Laurel and Hardy, but some is specific to its era. And you know what? I think the Goons is pretty specific.
Yeah, and it was very funny though. I mean, once you understood their humour, you were in stitches.
Well, yeah, and I've tried to listen to it several times, but I've always come up thinking, I should have been there at the time if I really wanted to enjoy this.
You should have been a little bit older than you are.
It's the only time I've ever thought that. All right, thanks a lot, Ken.
Thank you.
Ta-da, 0845 6060 973. As we're talking about the sexes with this confusing thing that the government now says that husband will in future be applied. The word husband will now be also applied to women, and the word wife will also apply to men. This is what the government has decided. And then they said that, well, we haven't decided that. It's actually the reverse of it. It's very, very confusing. But it's something to argue about. And there was a survey about men arguing with women that you may enjoy. I'm going to call you Miranda. You're as funny, Amanda. Simply agreeing with women in a bid to avoid conflict does not work, according to a new study. You would agree with that, wouldn't you, Amanda?
When did you ever just agree? You never agree with me about anything.
You're right about that. Researchers from the University of Arizona assessed the communication styles of 44 couples, focusing on the difference between the sexes. In other words, the difference between what men and women do when they're arguing with each other. They concluded that girlfriends and wives picked up on the fact that their partners' yes dears and were disingenuous, which in turn aggravated the situation. You see, the men were just trying to extricate themselves from the situation without a fight, by just agreeing. Like I agree to your every crazy demand. Yes. I say, and it just infuriates you, because you know I'm not listening to the word you're saying. You would agree with that, wouldn't you, Amanda?
What?
They concluded that their girlfriends and wives picked up on the fact that their partners' yes dears and uh-huhs were disingenuous, which made them furious. This was after a 2011 study which involved more than 900 men, found that 68% of men preferred to say yes dear to temper their other halves. They didn't want to engage in an argument, they just agreed with everything that they said. You would agree with that, wouldn't you, Amanda?
Mm-hmm.
Neil Warner, who headed up the research, said, as well as being insincere, this passive-aggressive behaviour is confusing. He said the partner of a passive-aggressive person can spend the best 20 or 30 years of their life trying to decode this maddening double message. Meanwhile, In trying to decode it, the innocent partner can be accused of being crazy, aggressive, and over-demanding. Does that remind you of anybody? Yes. Crazy, aggressive, and overly demanding. It's like the job description for a radio producer.
Absolute requirements.
Social psychology literature on cooperation tells us that women generally tend to cooperate more, while men often try to avoid conflict. Simply agreeing with women in a bid to avoid conflict does not work, according to a new study. So this was, I brought this in because I was going to ask a question at the beginning. Is there anything that puzzles you about women? And is there anything that puzzles you about men? I'm fully expecting to get nothing in response, but we'll see how far we get. I'll just throw that in as an addition. Charlton, hello, Steve.
Hi, Nick. You've totally confused me now.
Sorry about that.
Anyway, different subject. I thought I'd have a look at the Rolling Stones tonight.
Yeah.
On the Glastonbury.
And?
They were rubbish.
Really?
Well, maybe that's just because they didn't play the things I like, but, I mean...
they were rubbish?
Well, you know, that thing about Miss You Nights or something, Gambler, and then one about Tom's satanic album that I hadn't even heard of. And,
Their Satanic Majesty's Request.
Is that what it's called?
Well, it's what one of them's called.
Oh, well, perhaps that was it then, yeah. So, I mean, I only know all the old stuff.
But did they look like they were on the borderline of expiring, shuffling off this mortal coil? Did they appear to be with it? Did they seem to know where they were?
The drummer looked a bit knackered.
Well,
Charlie Watts.
Yeah, that's just the way his face hangs. He's always looked that way.
Yeah, but actually, Primal Scream, who were on before, I thought were really good.
Well, you know, of all the bands that are on there, and I'm trying to squeeze as much as I can onto the microscopically small memory that my television recorder has got. I'm looking forward to seeing the Arctic Monkeys, because they, at least they're under 30-ish. They have a bit of vigour about them, a bit of aggression, a bit of loud. That's what we want.
Yeah, I haven't seen them, but I can't really comment. I mean, probably the best band I've ever seen is The Who, I would say.
Well, I saw The Who in 1970...
74, was it?
Maybe. Well, it was the Who Put the Boot In tour. They did Charlton Athletic Football Ground.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
Celtic Park, which is where I saw them in Glasgow, and Cardiff, perhaps.
Yeah, I think I've seen them 74 and 76 at Charlton. And that was really fantastic.
Yeah, they were sensational, yeah. And just before them was the sensational Alex Harvey Band, who were probably the best, along with Ian Dury, probably the best live act that I ever saw.
Yeah.
I'd like to see them again.
What,
sadly, sadly they're unavailable, as Alex Harvey is feeling a bit dead at the moment. As are half the Who. Never mind, eh?
Yeah. Jubblies. Do you remember Jubblies? Those orange triangular, things they sold in.
Well, I had no idea where you were going with this. Where did you think this was going, Amanda?
I was distinctly worried about where that was going.
Jubblies.
No, it's not rude. It was like a triangular thing with orange.
Okay,
solid orange in the middle.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I do not remember Jubblies.
Oh, I loved them. I don't know. I was really annoyed when they got rid of them.
Hey, Amanda, Steve loves Jubblies. Can you believe that? Okay, good work. Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, do you remember...
And another thing. What?
Aztec bars? Cadbury's Aztec bars. They had, like, raisins and things in. Really
90% of the things that people miss are cheap confectionery.
Well, I mean, they only had them for about 6 months, and then they got rid of them for some reason, so I can't understand why, they get a thing that sells, and then or perhaps it didn't sell, I don't know.
Well, either way, it's a catastrophe, Steve.
Yeah. All right, Nick, nice talking to you.
Good man, thanks a lot, Steve. 0845 6060 973. Let's have a call in Liverpool. Hello, Linda.
Oh, hello, Nick.
Linda.
So nice to speak to you. No, little old me from Liverpool.
Hey, Liverpool, I was reading about the house prices in Liverpool. I think it's the only city in the country where house prices continue to go down.
Well, actually, that's not quite true. Can I give you a quick example, going off on a tangent?
Yeah.
A house next door to me that you could have bought for £80,000 4 years ago is now on the market for 130.
Wow. What have they done to it?
Well, they've done nothing to it. It's just that you can't buy them. Anyway, that's off on a tangent.
Yeah, I suppose that
Nick,
they were talking.
hang
on a minute, they were talking about average house prices. Apparently, the quality of housing stock.
You sound overly interested on the house prices in Liverpool. On the house prices in Liverpool, Nick. Are you thinking of moving up here?
No, I'm just interested in house prices generally because I think there are portents to a future disaster. I think there's a massive bubble going on.
You know Liverpool's on the up and up, don't you?
No, I did not know
well,
that.
The stupid mayor we've got is telling everybody that anyway. You must come up and have a look around anyway. We've got the Albert dock.
The stupid mayor.
That most people drop themselves into when
which stupid mayor are we talking about?
Well, we've got two, actually. Can you believe that? By the way, on a point of interest, I don't want to bore you to death on this, Nick.
Well, if it's interesting, you won't.
Well, we got a mayor, like you've got Boris Bojo, who's got a bit of charisma too.
Yeah, that mayor. Mm-hmm.
Well, our mayor's got no charisma at all. In fact, Boris has got the hair. Our mayor's got no hair at all. And we didn't get a referendum on whether we wanted one or not. In fact, what we got was a mayor we couldn't vote on and a police commissioner we didn't know nothing about. And we've got both. That's cost us a lot of money that no one knows anything about either of them. But that's a side issue. I'm interested in the husband-wife thing, Nick.
Yeah.
Now, I don't consider myself a stupid person, but I can't get my head round the husband and wife bit. But having worked with children...
What husband and wife bit? What are you talking about?
You know this business you can call the husband and the wife?
A husband is now a wife and a wife is now a husband. Yeah, it's the law, yes.
Can you enlighten me somewhat? Because my head's in a spin about that.
Not even a little bit.
Well, I was hoping you could, because I think the husband's the wife, the wife's the husband. What concerns me...
Which would you prefer to be?
Well, that's not really relevant. And what concerns me is what the children would call the husband or the wife. Would that be the mother or the father? The father or the mother?
Well, it doesn't really.
It
doesn't matter, Linda. Essentially, speaking on behalf of parents, it wouldn't really matter what they called them, just as long as they called.
So you don't think it's an issue what they call them?
Well, I think
now, we were married, Nick.
Yeah. In the unlikely event of that happening.
Just hypothetically, if you and I were to just pop off to somewhere in Liverpool, or even London, whatever suits, and got married tomorrow, would you want to be the husband or the wife?
I think I'd probably want to take my life. No offence.
No, not me personally, but hypothetically, would you want to be the husband or the wife?
I think we'll toss for it. How does that sound? Oh, by the way, if there's anywhere in the country that you would like somebody to construct a sentence around the words mare and hair, Liverpool has to be it. Am I right? Thanks a lot, Linda. 0845 6060 973. Text 84850. Email nicka@lbc.co.uk. And you can tweet at LBC973. Keep your herd on. This is LBC 97.3. It's 12:30.
Come on, we're running late.
Things you'd like to see the return of. I'd like to see the return of when we used to trust our and cherish our institutions. Now, perhaps they didn't deserve it. It's just that we thought that they did. Everything now seems to be covered in sleaze. Everywhere you look, there's something else or somebody else that you can't trust anymore. That's what I'd like the return of, is the ability or the notion that everything was fine. You know, David Cameron has delayed the appointment of new lords because the Telegraph newspaper uncovered sleazy peers undermining the reputation of Parliament. This is what the Lord Speaker has suggested. The Lord Speaker. Puh. Baroness de Souza said it would not have been terribly politic for the government to announce 50 new peers right after it emerged that some had agreed to ask questions in Parliament on behalf of companies for cash. Yeah, much better to wait a while till the dust settled and we'd forgotten all about it, and then start handing out the badges to their mates.
Correct.
You see? Untrusting. That's me. And you, probably. Very suspicious all the time. It's kind of wearing to be suspicious of everything all the time. We used to just think, well, our elders and our betters, they're working on our behalf. No need to question them or to question their motives. Not no more. The Speaker said there was anger in the Lords about badly behaved peers, and those who had brought it into disrepute should be expelled. That's what she said. Those who had brought the Lords into disrepute should be expelled. Except who would do the expelling? Who without sin would cast the first stone? This is another investigation by the Daily Telegraph. They have been having a blue-ribboned period. They've been doing some excellent work uncovering... well, it's good work uncovering it. It's just stuff that you'd rather you didn't know. You can't unlearn it. Investigation by the Daily Telegraph and the BBC's Panorama programme exposed some peers as a little bit sleazy. Perhaps not even a little bit, rather a lot sleazy, said Baroness de Souza. Hugely sleazy, great slopping buckets of overspilling sleaze, like a sick bucket at a Freshers' Week disco. Baroness de Souza criticised politicians for handing out peerages to wealthy political donors who might not have a great deal to offer in terms of the legislative process. That's what she said. And she described the size of the chamber as quite embarrassing. In fact, there's too many of them. You know, there's 800 of them? 800 peers in the House of Lords. Except that there actually isn't. The role of Baroness de Souza is to keep order among Westminster's 800-odd peers in the House of Lords. Well, she is doing a fantastic job, ain't she? 3 cheers for the Baroness. Hip, hip. I'm saying hip, hip. No. Peers have been complaining for years that the House is too full. House of Lords is too full, that is what they are saying. But the government is shortly due to announce its recommendations for even more Lords. What? Crazy. The Conservatives and the Lib Dems want new peers to stop it being dominated by Labour members. However, Baroness de Souza said the chamber is so full that its members are second only to... its numbers are second only to the Chinese Politburo, which is kind of surprising to anyone who's ever seen coverage of the House of Lords on the TV, as there's never anyone there. It looks like the televising of dust settling. They're all off earning giant amounts for lending their titles to shady businesses who will pay a pretty penny for the chance to whitewash their reputation with a lord on the board. That's why it's so valuable. That's why they're so keen to get a badge and a name, a title. It's because you can turn it into money. And you don't even have to do anything for it. There's 800 of them. Where are they? Despite calling for sweeping reforms, the Baroness said the idea of an elected House of Lords is a long way off. She said a stronger code of conduct governing principles of behaviour in public life could be brought in for the Lords. A stronger code of conduct. Which rather implies that they didn't know that it was wrong to sell themselves to the highest bidder and try to change government policy for their paymasters. It rather implies that they didn't know it was wrong to be crooked, because they hadn't read it in the rules. Is she joking?
No.
No, she's not. I'd like to go back to when we used to trust our once sacred institutions. Maybe sacred is pushing it a bit. Here's calling Southgate. Hello, Lisa.
Hello.
Lisa.
I'd just like to say that I'd like my peace of mind back when I believe this was a free country and not a dictatorship, where governments can spy on emails and phones without permission.
Yeah.
And nobody wants to speak because it's frightening. That they're pitting people against each other, frightening social groups into believing, like, I don't know, that they're overrun by certain other social groups, and just frightening them into fighting with one another. Also, trying to get out of the EU and leave the EU, and put us against the EU, which is the only thing that is standing in the way of taking away all our human rights.
Every now and again, the EU will play a blinder, and they will correct the government on our behalf. And those rulings are normally ignored, the press will concentrate on them, insisting that bananas must be straight or some other nonsense that they've concocted.
Yeah, that there was like smoke screens, and I'm guessing that you're a bit older than me, so...
oh, thanks very much.
So you probably have heard... I'm just wondering whether it happened before, whether all this kind of thing has actually happened before.
What kind of thing has happened before?
What's going on now? This kind of...
Well, I wonder if...
Orwellian 1984 style...
I suspect that it has always been that way, and that governments have used whatever abilities they have, whatever technologies are at their disposal to spy on their own citizens, and to spy on their supposed friendly their friendly governments and their enemy governments. I suspect that that this country and every other country is trying to get a march on their friends and enemies in any way that they can possibly do it, and spying has always been one of the ways in which they do it. It's just that recently the people that have been doing the spying have become younger and younger, and haven't sort of grown up with the stench of corruption on them, and the sense that what they're being asked to do isn't right. And crucially, they've also been gifted the ability to disseminate this information. Because previously, if you were a spy and you wanted to tell the world about what the nefarious things you've been getting up to, what would you do? Write a letter to the newspaper? Well, the newspaper wouldn't print it because they would take their cue from the government. But now you can just post it on the World Wide Web.
The thing is, why is nobody outraged by it?
I think people are outraged by it, but
nobody seems to care.
Well, no, yeah, you would get the impression that nobody really seems to care. That's right. The newspapers, I think the narrative of the newspapers is that this man is. I'm not sure that they've actually come down one way or the other that he's a traitor. Probably in the camp that he is a traitor, but I think they're more interested in this cat and mouse game of America's trying to get hold of him, and he's in limbo. I think all the newspapers, bar The Guardian, probably, which, talking about Orwellianism, the Americans are banning the Guardian website from being read on the computers that the American military run. I mean, that sounds like the kind of thing the Chinese would do.
I know.
They've banned the Guardian website, as benign a site as that. The little old Guardian, written by people in sandals with beards and rucksacks. Like they're a danger to democracy.
I don't understand what's going on.
It's a bizarre situation that we seem to have sleepwalked into. We in this little old country, we're the most surveilled people on earth. Are you aware of that? Even in North Korea, I don't think they're as surveilled as we are in this country. I can't remember the exact figure, but it's something of the order of a quarter of all of the CCTV cameras on earth are in this tiny country. Isn't that stunning?
Yeah. But, oh my God.
Amanda is in there thinking it's amazing she hasn't been nicked yet.
I'm sure she hasn't done anything wrong. But what the thing is that with all this happening, you can't say people that have maybe been locked up and said being told that they're crazy for believing that that emails were, being that they've been watched, and that will they be let out of mental institutions, or will they be seriously?
Well, I think that what you're describing is conspiracy theorists, and we come to find out with each passing day that all of the people that we dismissed as conspiracy theorists are actually right about pretty much everything that they've said. And they were dismissed as being nutters and crazy and, a bit too left field to be taken seriously. The realisation is slowly dawning on us that everything that they say is right.
But the thing is that the ones that are actually have been put in mental institutions because they couldn't handle the fact that they were being watched, nobody believed them, they would still be in there and be told, well, you're
well, I don't think people get.
But it just coincides with what
I
you
think
said
this
was
is.
true.
Yeah, but I think we're talking about different things now, and I think we're off on a tangent here. If anybody's been put in a mental institution, it's not because they correctly think that the banks are actually running countries. I don't think you get put away for that. Not yet. But to hold your breath, Lisa, it may happen at any minute.
Three different things, and one was the spying, one was being taken out of the EU, where you've got the European Court of Appeal, and I think, is it the European Court of Human Rights?
Yeah.
You've got that, and you've got groups being pitted up against each other. So you've got, like, the EDL, and you've got they actually believe that they're overrun by Muslims, and that the country isn't theirs anymore.
Well, everybody hates everybody else. It's always been the way that everybody hates everybody else, and you particularly hate people that you're most alike. Neighbours hate their neighbours. But the one good thing about all this is that I think that there's an entire generation who are growing up with the open access to information about. It's a more open access to information about what is actually going on, and so I think in the future, whereas they're not now, I think we're due some sort of revolution. In the same way that the music used to have a revolution every 10 years, and politics sort of went along with it and had a revolution every 10 years. We've been a long while without anything like that. I mean, music has trundled along more or less the same, without much of a change, and we seem to have skipped it. You virtually set your watch by it. In 1957, we had rock and roll and the invention of the teenager. In 1967, it was hippie ideals and the psychedelia that went along with it. In 1977, it was punk and anti-establishmentarianism, and then after that, I guess 97 was dance music, which was more hedonistic, with the demand for like societal freedom that went along with that. But since that, unless I missed something, we haven't really had anything. And I think that the internet is going to be the key, and there's the more free flowing of information, and the more information that comes out, the more young people will be appalled, and they will want to elicit change. And so I think that the very thing that is causing the problem, these communications technology and the ability to spy and eavesdrop and film you on CCTV cameras and all the rest of it, is also coming along with this ability for people to pass on information that would ordinarily have been hidden and would have been unavailable to the general population. And there's nothing that governments can do really to put that genie back in the bottle, because you can't have one without the other. If you're going to have the internet, then you're going to have everything bad and good that comes along with it, just like society. So, yeah, it would be nice to go back to a period when we weren't feeling like we were living in the book 1984. But I think that the very thing that has caused us problems might be the route out of it. Let's hope so. Here's calling Kingston. Hello, Joe.
Hi, Nick. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, it's about things I'd like, or you'd like to see brought back.
Yeah.
I would like the old emergency services siren because they sound like ice cream vans now when they're hurtling around London, and you never know what it is because they're always different. Whereas you used to get the old-fashioned Nuna, you knew exactly where you stood.
No.
You never see kids playing cops and robbers now because they can't do the police siren.
I can remember, because we used to get American TV programs, and so it was one of the ways in which this country always seemed so old-fashioned and antediluvian. The no. I mean, it just seemed so pathetic and ordinary. Whereas on American television, they had these whooping sirens. And I can vividly remember the first time that the police got their hands on a real American whooping siren. And it was kind of like a child who had got the first bell on his bicycle. They would want to use that at every opportunity. Late for tea? Stick on the siren.
But they don't just have one siren now. They seem to go down the road changing tune as they go.
That's right. Well, I think the reason for that is that if you just have one siren, then people almost immediately could get used to it and stop listening to it. But then that's why it's like chops and changes, is because to keep people attending to it.
Well, I still like the old one.
Yeah, okay. Cheers, Joe. I used to like the one that they had in France, which was a ting-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. Ours was just flat-out boring. Regardless of what that last caller said. No. It's just so depressing. I mean, it's almost like someone saying, boring. But in France, they had a ting-ling-ling-ling-ling. Like breakfast was ready. Ting-ling-ling-ling-ling. Is breakfast ready, Amanda?
Yes.
Here is Chertsey. Hello, Sandra.
Hello, Nick.
Sandra.
I like the way you said that, Nick. If you're pleased to speak to me. I just said to Amanda, wouldn't it be lovely if we could have a nostalgia trip back to the 70s? And she said it was the 80s. Dusty Bin, when the highlight of the evening was Ted Rogers doing that hand signal of 3, 2, 1, and the hapless couple, if they got the wrong answer, they'd wheel in Dusty Bin.
Honestly, if that was the highlight to your evening, then that's not something you want to return to.
Well, it was good. I'm surprised Amanda remembered it. So can one ask if you remember it, Nick?
Well, I know what you're talking about, but I never watched that show. Why would anybody want to watch that show? Somebody wanted to win a bin.
Yeah, well, there was a sort of booby prize in it. Well, or in other shows you get Norman Vaughan doing Oops, the Roses Grow on You sort of thing, those good old shows.
No, that's where we had to part company. Good old show. They're old, all right, but I'm not sure about the good part.
No, but can you imagine now, with these days it's the lottery and everything, if somebody wheels on Dusty Bin, and there's absolute horror because that's what they've ended up with.
Well, actually, come to think of it, it's just as bad now, and you got it in a nutshell, the lottery show.
Oh, yeah, I tend to miss that. Do you know, I tried to claim something on a Saturday, and it was only £10, and I went in, and they printed out something saying, you cannot claim this prize here, you must contact the people, Camelot. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've made a mistake. It's so huge they can't pay it.
Well, I thought that's what they did do, that you could only claim from the store. Well, it seems unreasonable if you've won £32 million to ask for it from your corner shop. So how much did you win?
No, it was only 10, but you see, they were saying, it was stupid. They printed out, you cannot claim this, and the chappie behind the counter didn't know why. So I got quite excited. I said to my Polish friend who works there, wheeling his bicycle through the store, hey, Raphael, why can't I claim this? What does it mean? He said, you claimed too early. The shop will be open tomorrow. You cannot claim tonight. That was what, thanks.
Well, I would have been beside myself. One of the 2 times I've ever won anything on the lottery, and they've changed it. They used to send you an email that said, great news. Log on to your account. We've got tremendous news. And my brain almost exploded. Come to find out it was £10, which, I'll be honest with you, is not tremendous news. It's diverting information, not great news.
That's the most I won on the lottery, I must say. But it's going to be double in the autumn to do it at all.
Yeah,
so
and at that point, I'll stop.
Exactly. Oh, will you?
Yes.
No, you can't, because if your numbers win, if you keep the same every
I
week,
don't
you'll
know.
go
that
berserk.
would be a crazy thing to do, to keep the same numbers every week. Never, ever do that. Don't keep the same numbers every week, because you'll never be able to stop.
Well, exactly. But I do.
Just click the, if you're buying it online, click the button that says Unlucky Dip.
By the way, Nick, did you get that?
No. What is it?
Oh, did you? Do you know what that is?
It sounds like you're strangling your parrot.
No, he's in the other room. He's a cockatiel. No. Do you know what that is?
I have no idea what that is.
You'll do for your It's a meerkat.
You're strangling a meerkat. Get the RSPCA on the phone, Amanda. We have a problem in Chertsey. 0845 6060 973. Hey, talking about my National Lottery numbers, by the way. What are my winning numbers? I'll get this mess out of the way straight away. Yes? It's a rollover.
Oh.
Yay! £12 million. Oh, no, that's the millionaires. How much have I won? My numbers are, you ready?
Okay.
3. Just say yes or no. 3.
No.
4.
No.
7.
Yes.
7.
Yeah.
7.
Lucky number, yeah.
14.
13.
Do you get anything for close? 36.
No.
Oh, and 49. No. I love this game. I really, really hate it. They just released one of these lists of crazy people that call the 999. Oddball callers are being threatened with court after dialing 999 to call cops to complain about noisy lovemaking, off-key carol singers, and a 3-year-old who had pooed in a Wendy house. You heard me. The time-wasting calls were revealed by police in Rotherham, who have now sent letters out warning that regular 999 callers could face action. During 13 months, one man made more than 100 calls, none of which led to a police investigation. Here are some of the logged calls that they have told us about. And this is in police speak. Caller disliked by his neighbour because he used to jump up and down on a trampoline in a dress. Caller states that her daughter, aged 11, is attacking her. Question further, it turns out that her daughter is being a naughty girl and won't go to bed. So the woman called the police. Confused caller says she doesn't seem to be able to get films with her Sky TV card. These are 999 calls to the police, logged by the police in police speak. There is a couple with a big brown dog that is running around. It has not been aggressive towards anyone, but the caller is concerned as to the size of the dog. He has spoken to the couple about the dog, but they have not done anything about the size of the dog. Caller says some children who live round the corner keep coming to her house to play with her daughter. She says that one of them has pooed in her daughter's playhouse. The child is 3 years old, but the caller is irate because they should know better at that age. Call to the police on 999. Caller reporting he has 2 females, possibly from housing, knocking on his door, and he doesn't want to answer it, so he's asking for police to attend. He states that he is on water tablets, so doesn't want to talk to them. Caller advising that he has found some driving documents that he thought he had previously lost and was wanting to let us know. Did you get that? Caller wanting to report some youths being a nuisance. They have been coming on the street singing Christmas carols, but they can't sing, and it seems like they're just trying to get some money. The neighbours next door are making love very loudly with the windows open. This has been going on for some time. Caller very distressed. Caller reporting 4 or 5 youths aged 5 to 11 on the street, and they have thrown a stone at a window and smashed it. On inspection of said window, it transpires there is no damage, just a mud mark which is wiped off. And finally, caller was in Newcastle for the weekend and woke up in his hotel to find his trousers were missing. I'm Nick Abbott, back Friday at 10 o'clock. This is LBC 97.3. Richard Spur is in for Christo and will speak now.
Good morning, London. I'm Richard Spur. I'll tell you just a little bit more about me in just a few ticks after the news at 1. But after that, news and appeal is launched over a dog which mauled to death another in a Manchester street. Well, is there any such thing as a dangerous dog? It's a bit like when you treat children badly, isn't it? They turn out to be rotters when they grow up. Are there only bad owners? That from you after the news.